This is the story of Tang Yeon-myeong, born into the prestigious lineage of poison and hidden weapons, the Sichuan Tang Family. However, the family has fallen into decline following an all-out war with the demon lord who sought to take Yeon-myeong's mother. With his father's death and facing the hatred and bullying of others, Yeon-myeong's life takes a difficult turn. Yet one fateful day, he suddenly finds a glowing sword, awakening memories of his past life where he reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship. Now in this life, he harbors only one wish: to live normally. But to achieve that, he must clear the obstacles hindering him. Before we continue the story, please leave a like, as today's like goal is 1,500 likes, and hit the subscribe button for more videos. The tale begins as a voice echo in the darkness, announcing, "Behold the end of the sword." On the edge of the cliff, a man sits in a lotus position, hands resting on his knees, eyes closed. He is a towering figure with massive muscles, his body and face covered in scars, his hands wrapped in gray bandages, and his dark hair is pulled back into a bun. Before him, a sword is embedded in the ground, its hilt adorned with a long red ribbon that flutters in the wind, gracefully hovering above his head. He reflects that before his master passed away, this was the testament he left him along with the sword. After training with the sword for over a century, he has reached the end of his journey with it. The man coughs and drops a blood spurt from his mouth, landing on his wrinkled chin. He sighs heavily, feeling that everything seems futile in the face of approaching death. Opening his eyes, he stares sternly at his bandaged palm, regretting a life spent obsessed with the sword. If only he had spent as much time perfecting his pancake-flipping skills as he did with this sword. At least then, he'd have something tasty to show for it. Meanwhile, a young boy with his red hair tied up like a samurai's top knot gone wrong is being mercilessly beaten by some bullies. Lying on the ground, he wishes he could live a normal life. One of his attackers, a boy with white hair and blue eyes, pauses in surprise and asks what he means, then gleefully resumes kicking him, mocking the very idea of normalcy. He's getting more beatings than a dusty rug in a cleaning frenzy. The poor red-haired boy grits his teeth in pain, groaning as the blows land. His tormentor continues to kick him with sadistic delight, declaring that the son of the woman who destroyed their clan should consider himself lucky not to have been cast out, while the poor boy desperately covers his head with his hands, trying in vain to shield himself from the relentless assault. Not long ago, the well-known Tang family of Sichuan, renowned for their mastery of poisons and hidden weaponry arts, fell. The winding road reflected a gruesome tableau, covered with dead bodies like discarded candy wrappers. In the distance, houses were on fire, sending black smoke into the sky. Among the chaos, a towering structure became a beacon of destruction, with sparks flying everywhere. In front of the house lay the bodies of men felled by swords and arrows alike, victims of the emerging power within the Murim, which had laid waste to approximately 9 of its fellow sects. Yeon-myeong, the demon lord of heavenly radiance, stood amidst the chaos, a walking contradiction of awe and terror, with hair as fiery as a dragon's temper and a kimono that seemed more action than a popcorn machine at a movie marathon. With eyes blue enough to make the ocean jealous, he's not one to beat around the bush. No, when he wants something, he wants it, and he wants it now. He was a man of uncompromising will. If his proposals were rejected, he would not hesitate to use force. If he fancied a woman, he would ask for her hand in marriage, and if refused or ignored, he would take her away by force. Such eccentricities of Yeon-myeong extended to the Tang family in Sichuan. In the poison phoenix Tang Yeon-myeong, a girl with a long red braid becomes his target. Facing the heavenly radiance demon lord who has come to take her away, the Tang family from Sichuan fights with all their might and won. But as a result of pouring all their resources, the Sichuan Tang family walked a path of downfall. Meanwhile, the 3 bullies continue to beat up the red-haired boy. He is taking hits like he's auditioning for a stunt double in an action flick. He is punched in the face and blood starts trickling from his nostrils. He tries to get up from the ground, one hand flat on the dirt behind him, while his bullies, smiling cheerfully, watch him suffer. The white-haired boy raises his fist, asking how can he give up now, indicating that there's still a long way to go. The poor boy grits his teeth angrily, his dirty face covered with cuts and bruises, and glares at his bully, who violently kicks him in the face, questioning what he is looking at. The poor boy covers his face with his hands and falls back to the ground. The boy with the white hair sneers, suggesting if he doesn't like something, he should blame his mother. After a while, as the 3 teenage tormentors saunter off into the sunset like they're auditioning for a cliché Western movie, our poor red-haired protagonist is left sprawled on the ground like a rejected extra in a low-budget action flick. With a heavy heart and heavier bruises, he ponders the cosmic injustice of his situation. All because dear old mom caught the eye of the demon lord of heavenly radiance and accidentally set off a family feud worthy of a soap opera plot twist. Later, when a round and bright moon appears in the dark sky, with his shoulders slumping lower than a deflated balloon and his head hanging like a droopy sunflower, our hero trudges toward the distant glow of a house like a sad puppy seeking shelter from the storm. He reflects on the insults and outrages hurled at his mother and himself. In the lighted room, a door opens a crack. His mother, Tang Ji, anxiously asks why he is so late. Seeing her son's condition, she is shocked. She quickly runs to him, shouting his name, Yeon-myeong, worried about what has happened to his face. Yeon-myeong laughs in embarrassment as he rubs the back of his head, telling her that everything is fine. Just then, he coughs up blood. With tears in her eyes, she asks Yeon-myeong if the kids were bullying him. Faking a smile, he denies it and tells her that he fell on his own while playing with friends. His mother asks what if he scars his face. He assures her not to worry and says he will be more careful next time, then quickly rushes into his room. His mother asks if he has eaten as if a full stomach could somehow mend a broken spirit, but he replies that he doesn't have an appetite. Lying on his bed, Yeon-myeong knows it's not his mother's fault, but there's no one he can complain to. Raising his voice will only cause retaliation, just like what happened to his father, who was assassinated, and if they leave the family, there will be no one to protect them. Well, that's about as appealing as jumping out of a plane without a parachute. There's just no safety net to catch them if they fall. He wonders if things would have been different if his father were still alive. The next day, the same group of bullies starts beating Yeon-myeong again. One of them taunts him that he should stop exaggerating and stop being a drama queen, as it is just a beginning. As the intensity of the beating increases, the only girl among them, Yeon, tells them to stop as she has prepared hard to play with Yeon-myeong. She then takes out a set of needles, eager to test poisons on Yeon-myeong before the upcoming clan leader competition. The ugly gorilla Tang Yeon-myeong sits on top of Yeon-myeong, holding him down. He tells Yeon-myeong that a wrong needle might cripple him and that he should be thankful for being held down firmly. As Yeon-myeong begins her experiments, she reassures Yeon-myeong that the poison won't kill him. Once the effect of the poison is confirmed, he will be given an antidote. Then, with an evil grin, she injects him with the poison, telling him that he can't die. As Yeon-myeong suffers, she finds it amusing to watch his skin react painfully to the toxins. After a few hours, it starts raining, and Yeon-myeong thinks that if he closes his eyes, he would be free, but suddenly realizes then that there would be no one to protect his mother. He wishes he were stronger so he could take care of them. His deepest desire is to become strong enough to protect his mother and to live a normal life. Just then, Yeon-myeong notices a glowing sword nearby. He didn't realize it had been there all this time. For some reason, the sword feels familiar to him. Getting a hold of it, Yeon-myeong realizes that it is his sword, the one he had trained with for over 100 years. He recalls how he created the ultimate sword during his lifetime. How many lines did he draw, but it was so futile, as despite reaching the pinnacle of his abilities, he couldn't prevent his own death. Regret overwhelmed him. If he could live a second life, he wanted to live a normal life. He realizes that in this life he has remembered everything. He was a sword master in his past life, and now in his present life, he is Tang Yeon-myeong. As he pulls the sword out from the ground, a white aura engulfs him. Determined, he decides that from now on, he will live a normal life. The next morning, his mother tells him not to go out, worried about his injuries from the day before. But our resilient Yeon-myeong, with the stubbornness of a mule and the optimism of a lottery player, brushes off her concerns like yesterday's news and assures her that he will be okay. Meanwhile, the white-haired monkey, Munchin, thinks Yeon-myeong is avoiding them. Jeongul remarks that if Yeon-myeong doesn't want his mother to see him in his sorry state, he will come to them. Munchin shares that he will beat him thoroughly if he shows up today. A few seconds later, Yeon-myeong arrives. Yeon-myeong falls from a tree, pretending to be cute, but Yeon-myeong doesn't react. Munchin starts mocking Yeon-myeong, questioning why he looks unharmed. Yeon-myeong confidently assures Munchin that his attacks won't faze him, addressing him by name and leaving the bullies bewildered. Mistaking his boldness for madness, they tense up, with Jeongul ready to unleash his pent-up frustration. Suddenly, it's the bullies who are left scratching their heads, wondering if they stumbled into the Twilight Zone. Yeon-myeong then shocks them further by addressing each of them by their names, which offends Yeon-myeong, and she contemplates killing him or doubling the poison dosage. When Jeongul attempts to strike, Yeon-myeong swiftly grabs his head and thrusts it into the ground, stunning the group as Jeongul topples over. Panic sets in as Yeon-myeong approaches, taunting them about their feeble abilities despite their aspirations to compete in the clan leader competition. Munchin perceives Yeon-myeong's changed demeanor and charges toward him. However, Yeon-myeong swiftly grabs onto Munchin's hand and with a powerful twist, breaks it into pieces. He then confidently declares that the competition for the clan leader is pretty much decided. Inside the hidden poison hall, where the clan leader once resided and major family decisions were made, but now it's just a glorified boardroom for the elders to hash out their clan drama over tea and finger sandwiches. They are discussing the participants for the upcoming clan leader competition, particularly wondering if Poison Phoenix's son will participate, as he hasn't announced his intention yet. The elder chief considers excluding him from the competition due to his ongoing bullying without showing any retaliation. One of the elders expresses concern, stating that is not Tang Yeon-myeong, the son of previous clan leader. The other elders disagree. Despite being the son of the previous clan leader, they cannot allow an unskilled participant to lower the competition's level. Even though he is the patriarch's son, at present he is nothing but a burden to the family. At that moment, Yeon-myeong barges into the room like he's auditioning for a WWE SmackDown, dragging poor Yeon-myeong along for the ride by her hair. The Grand Elder warns him, questioning if he understands the implications of his actions. Giga Chad informs them that he is aware of silencing the courtroom. He then reveals the disfigured face of Yeon-myeong, shocking the elder. Yeon-myeong, cool as a cucumber in a snowstorm, lays down the law. He's done playing nice, and he's not about to take any more punches without throwing a few of his own. The elder questions how he can harm someone who is going to participate in the clan leader's competition. Yeon-myeong got an answer hotter than a chili pepper in July. He tells them he's well aware of the clan's rulebook, and it just so happens that fights between participants are fair game. The Grand Elder asks if Yeon-myeong is implying that he will participate in the competition. Yeon-myeong retorts, asking the Grand Elder if that's not enough. He reveals that outside the main hall, Moonchen and Jungle, who used to bully him, are buried in the ground. He emphasizes that he has merely followed the clan's rules, repaying kindness twofold and revenge tenfold. Yeon-myeong asserts that he has proven his qualifications and they cannot stop him. Despite some objections about how he exploited the competition to exempt himself from serious crimes, the Grand Elder allows him to participate, given his confidence. However, he warns Yeon-myeong that he had better win the competition or else he will bear the consequences. With that, the meeting regarding Yeon-myeong's participation in the future clan leader competition concludes. Later, his mother scolds him, questioning his decision to enter. Yeon-myeong defends his choice, insisting it's not a mere whim but necessary. Despite his youth, she senses the potential for greatness within him. She refrains from delving into his techniques or how he overcame those bullies. Instead, she simply asks if he's confident about the competition, urging him to answer honestly. Yeon-myeong replies in a cute manner, questioning who she thinks he is. He is the son of the Poison Phoenix, which brings tears to her eyes as she expresses her pride in him. His mother hugs him, and Yeon-myeong reflects that a mother's embrace is so warm. He is determined to continue protecting his mother and his normal life. He vows to eliminate anyone who disrupts his peace. A month has passed, and the day arrives for Yeon-myeong to leave home to participate in the competition. Yeon-myeong's uncle, Jaekway, expresses concern to Tang Ji-hae, questioning whether they should intervene, noting that the competition is not child's play and that she understands this better than anyone else. Tang Ji-hae, emphasizing the preciousness of every moment, insists on letting Yeon-myeong be, noting his remarkable demeanor, composure, and courage for his age. Jaekway agrees but remains concerned about Yeon-myeong's current attitude. Tang Ji-hae expresses gratitude to Jaekway for the support from him and the Dark King family. Jaekway acknowledges that the situation Yeon-myeong has created demands his involvement and admits to having high expectations for him. However, he ponders whether it is wise for Yeon-myeong not to train separately. Meanwhile, as Yeon-myeong continues his training alone, he concludes that his methods have sufficed so far, emphasizing the importance of balance. He eats the healthy meals prepared by his mother, gets plenty of sleep, and uses internal breathing methods to correct his twisted blood vessels. Yeon-myeong realizes that simply honing his strength and skill is not necessary at this moment. Instead, it is essential to fortify the vessel that contains the power of his body. At the tender age of 12, his full-body meridians and pathways aren't heavily blocked with impurities. As his level increases, a natural transformation will occur, but maintaining a strong foundation is crucial for balance. Yeon-myeong deepens his contemplation, understanding the need to focus on proper nutrition and rest for physical growth. Later, Yeon-myeong bids farewell to his mother, telling her to take care. Jaekway also says his goodbyes and expresses that it was nice meeting her. They then depart for the competition. His mother, realizing his determination is unwavering, recalls his father and murmurs to her late husband that their son has grown well, wishing he could have seen him. At the Dark King Hall, where the participants of the competition gather, Yeon-myeong arrives early and sits quietly in a corner, eating a rice cake. One of the participants notices him and remarks that he is the Poison Phoenix's son. Another bystander confirms this, noting that he is Tang Yeon-myeong, the one who bested Moonchen. Another participant questions if it's just a rumor, mentioning that Yeon-myeong could not even learn martial arts. Hearing this, others murmur that the standard has plummeted since he is competing with them. Overhearing these comments, Yeon-myeong furrows his brow in concern. One of the participants then suggests taking him down right there and then. At that moment, a peculiar object strikes that bully squarely on the head. Another participant, sounding accusatory, claims that Yeon-myeong is using a hidden weapon. However, another one, confused, points out that it's just a half-eaten rice cake. Maintaining a calm demeanor, Yeon-myeong addresses the mob, reminding them that Muchin only went around with 2 others, but they are quite a big group. However, did not they hear how Muchin and his group got beaten up? He then taunts them that it doesn't matter if they did not hear it and tells them to experience it firsthand. Yeon-myeong tells them that even with a crippled hand, Muchin didn't run away. He then challenges them, asking if they will run away. The group of bullies, unable to tolerate the insult, is ordered by their leader to teach Yeon-myeong a lesson and take him down immediately. Not long after, one of the bullies goes flying through the gate, landing where the Jukwi stands with a confused expression. Jukwi, realizing something happened while he was away, questions whether the person lying there is one of the participants and expresses his concern. Arriving at the scene, Jukwi is shocked by what he sees and spontaneously shouts, demanding to know the cause of the commotion. Yeon-myeong, sitting calmly, remarks that he was getting bored. In the courtroom, everyone begins to express to the Grand Elder that they can't ignore in this situation. One of the elders emphasizes the gravity of the matter, questioning how so many injuries could occur just before the competition. Reflecting on the situation, the Grand Elder realizes that if such a person becomes the young clan leader, worse things are likely to happen. He suggests amending the rules of the competition. Later, the elders decide to return to the competition ground where the participants are gathered. Meanwhile, in the training area, a girl asks how the competition works. Another girl in glasses whispers that participants undergo 2 to 3 years of training at the Common Mountain and then proceed to one-on-one duels. Surprised, the first girl inquires about her identity, but the girl in glasses insists that she was just answering the question. The first girl mentions that the competition's details are supposed to be confidential and asks how she knows. The girl in glasses brags that her father works at the general office and that she received a little tip from him. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a voice urging everyone to be silent. Jukwi announces that they have finally arrived and introduces himself as the Dark King clan leader who will be overseeing the competition. He begins explaining the order of the competition. The crowd is amazed to see Jukwi, the youngest leader ever. Jukwi explains that the competition lasts for 4 years. The first year is dedicated to finding a suitable practice method for each individual, which could involve sword skills or poison-making skills. For the next 2 years, comprehensive training is conducted under the guidance of assigned warriors. After all the training is complete, the main competition begins, which is a one-on-one duel conducted as a goo poison match. The crowd is shocked to learn about goo poison, a method involving placing strong poisons in a jar to fight each other and refine a potent toxin. It also refers to a personal combat competition where participants fight until only one person remains. The Grand Elder explains that they were originally supposed to select the young clan leader through one-on-one duels. However, due to the unfortunate incidents that just occurred, there have been numerous dropouts. Continuing with the original rules could result in similar incidents, so they decided to change the competition format to allow everyone to exert their full power. Everyone becomes furious, thinking this change is all because of Yeon-myeong. The Grand Elder further emphasizes that the young clan leader position is vital for the future of the Tang family. He stresses that this is not a mere child's fight, but a noble ceremony where one risks their life to challenge their limits. The victor will possess everything of the Tang Sichuan family, embodying the principles of fighting, surviving, and conquering. The Grand Elder announces the names of those who will survive through the Gu prison: Tang Jonggol, Tang Munchin, Tang Yeon-myeong, Tang Sacheon, Tang Juklin, and Tang Yeon-myeong. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong reflects that the challenge doesn't seem hard at all. Later at night, in the Sichuan Province Black Death Alliance territory, the main camp of the Dark Moon Sword Sect, a meeting takes place in a dimly lit room. Makin-hu addresses his executives, acknowledging their busy schedules but urging them to listen to his important message. He mentions the recent scheme plotted by the Tang family. Another executive asks if he is referring to the young clan leader competition, and another adds that their spies reported the competition was declared a few days ago. Makin-hu explains that right after the announcement, the children of the Tang family who have the potential to become the young clan leader left in carriages. He notes that the current state of the Tang family is precarious, with their leader, Yu Giljin, holding the power to eliminate them anytime he wishes. Makin-hu continues, stating that for now, Yu Giljin is leaving the Tang family alone because they still have some use. He emphasizes that it is as clear as day that those children are the future of the Tang family, and if anything goes wrong, it would deal an irreversible blow to the Tang family. The words of the elder of the Dark Moon Sword sect are indeed true, prompting smiles from some executives. However, another executive cautions that despite their decline, the Tang family remains an entity to be wary of. He asks Macon when they should act. Macon responds that for now, they will do nothing. Tracking the carriages and eliminating the potential future leaders of the Tang family would be easy, but it wouldn't truly deliver a significant blow. Since the young clan leader competition runs for a total of 4 years, Macon imagines the potential consequences if, after all that effort and nurturing, all the carefully groomed children of the Tang family were to die at the climax of the competition. He concludes that for now they should track where the carriage is heading and make their move after the 4 long years have passed. One of the executives informs them that the tracking has already been arranged, and not only that they have also planted a seed to ensure that the Tang family will fall entirely into their hands. Meanwhile, at the Common Mountain, the venue for the Sichuan Tang Family Young Clan Leader competition, the instructor addresses the participants. He informs them that although the competition rules have changed, the schedule and procedures remain the same. During the competition, participants will be called by numbers instead of names, with each group consisting of 4 members, and they are in Group 7. The instructor explains this clearly and authoritatively. However, the instructor proceeds to call their numbers, revealing that Tang Yuri is number 25, Tang Yeon-myeong is number 26, and Tang Yeon-myeong is number 27. He then realizes that number 28, Tang Yeon-myeong, is missing from the group. With a touch of panic in his tone, he scans the surroundings and realizes that number 28 is lagging behind the rest of the group. In a sharp tone, the instructor calls out to number 28 and asks why he is lagging. However, Tang Yeon-myeong apologizes and explains that he was lost in thought for a moment. The instructor responds with agitation, reminding him that there's no time for idle thoughts and instructs him not to fall behind. Yeon-myeong's frustration is evident and he questions whether the person leading them can sense it. Yeon-myeong can feel a presence from behind, sensing that they are being followed. After a while, the group arrives at the front of a cliff, leaving Tang Yuri puzzled. She asks the instructor if this is the correct place, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Before the instructor can answer, a voice emanates from the cliff, sending shivers down everyone's spine. It asks that Group 7 give the password. The participants are shocked, and the instructor answers firmly that Poison King of Hidden Poison. Despite the surreal situation, the password is confirmed by the cliff, its voice booming with authority. A man emerges from the cliff, introducing himself as Jigul Changshin. He greets everyone and explains that he is here to assist them in their competition. His voice resonates with a sense of reassurance as he speaks. Jigul Changshin explains that the Jigul family was once one of the 5 great families, like the Sichuan Tang Family and masters of formations. However, they have now fallen due to the invasion of Heaven's Brilliance Demon Lord, but thanks to the support of the Tang family, their family barely managed to survive. Jigul Changshin continues, his voice carrying the weight of past struggles, explaining that in return, they prevent external forces from intruding in this competition. As he leads them inside the formation within the cliff, he emphasizes that the Jigul family will assist the proceedings through their formation techniques. He then uses his formation technique. Startled at the brilliance of Changshin formation technique, Tang Yuri remarks with determination that this is the formation technique of the Jigul family. Tang Yeon remarks with awe that one can't tell the season or space here, marveling at the possibility. Meanwhile, Tang Yeon wonders about Tang Yeon-myeong, noticing that he isn't concentrating at all. She recalls that he was the same in the carriage, her concern growing as she ponders his behavior. Thinking back to when the participants were on their way to the cliff, the instructor had mentioned that once they arrive, they will be moving together for 3 years and asked them to introduce themselves. Tang Yuri, her voice brimming with excitement, asks Yeon-myeong if he is Tang Yeon-myeong. She then introduces herself, looking eager and animated, saying that she is Tang Yuri and has heard a lot about him. She mentions that everyone at the competition knows about the fight he had that day. Then Tang Yeon introduces herself, saying it is nice to meet everyone. With a polite and friendly voice, she tells Yeon-myeong that he is quite famous and adds a hint of admiration to her tone. She inquires if he is the one who left Tang Yeon-myeong in that state. Yuri chimes in, noting that Yeon-myeong surely has some nerve, and mentions that Tang Yeon-myeong's great-grandfather is one of the 3 elders. She remarks that while Yeon-myeong might be safe during the 4 years of the competition, he might face trouble once it is completed. Yeon-myeong gets mad and tells Yuri that it is not his responsibility now that it has turned into a goo poison match. The nerdy Yuri, taken aback, says it is surprising that the rules have changed and insists she is not looking to blame anyone. Tang Yeon interjects, telling Yuri that she really wants to argue about it, though. As they arrive at their destination, they all start walking. Tang Yeon keeps glancing at Yeon-myeong, thinking to herself that she won't let anything he does slide. She then bumps into the other girls as they both stop, realizing that instructor Jiggle Changshin has disappeared. They start to panic, wondering how he vanished when he was right in front of them a moment ago. Tang Yeon-myeong remarks that getting lost in the formation could trap them in a spatial lift. She wonders whether instructor Jiggle himself got caught in his formation. She questions what they will do and how they will get out of there. Tang Yuri comments if they stay put, maybe someone will come to rescue them. Suddenly, Tang Yeon-myeong notices Yeon-myeong heading somewhere and can't understand what is on his mind, why he is so calm, and what he plans to do. Meanwhile, walking in a different space, Jiggle Changshin realizes that the children have probably started to panic by now. He knows there is no way to get out of the Jiggle family's phantom dome of 7 castles without a spell. He reflects on the pettiness of the Tang family elders, who would kill an entire group just because of one child. Grand Elder Tang himself had asked Changshin to eliminate participant number 28. While this serves localized purposes, it would also strengthen the relationship between the Jiggle and Tang families. However, Changshin cannot ignore the inherent unfairness of the competition. He recognizes that this will hurt the Tang clan in the long run, even if it allows them to achieve their immediate goals. Despite this, he understands that the Jiggle family's position will only improve through these actions. While pondering this, Jiggle Changshin feels the entire space shake and hears a strange sound. Turning around to see the source, he is startled to find contestant number 28 staring at him eerily through a spatial crack. The old man cries out in fright, unable to comprehend how this is possible. Smiling, Yeon-myeong asks Master Jiggle why he ran away so quickly. He explains that their steps don't match because they are inexperienced, making it difficult for them to keep up with him. Yeon-myeong humbly requests him to be more careful in the future and not leave them behind. Jiggle Changshin acknowledges that a mistake was indeed made. He looks suspiciously at Yeon-myeong, trying to figure out how he managed to find himself here since there was no apparent gap. Yuri asks how he did it. Yeon-myeong replies that he simply cut through space. In awe, she cannot believe that Yeon-myeong managed to cut the incarnation. Mirio, trying to keep everyone focused, asks the group to be quiet, explaining that now is not the time to worry about that. She points out that they were lucky to find instructor Jiggle and emphasizes the importance of following him carefully, this time to avoid losing him again. However, when they look, they realize he is missing once more. With a contented exhale, Yeon-myeong realizes his guesses were justified. Meanwhile, Jiggle Changshin curses himself, baffled that he, a member of the Jiggle family, is running away in his own formation. He reflects on the boy's piercing eyes and realizes that simple tricks cannot deceive him. He wonders how a child could barely 12 years old show such spirit. After a few minutes of running, Jiggle Changshin finds the exit leading to the training grounds. He jumps outside in a panic, finally escaping the formation and falling to his knees in relief, thinking this should be enough. He believes no matter what method the boy uses, he can't get in here. However, his relief is short-lived as he hears someone call out to him. Standing in front of him is Tang Yeon-myeong, the overseer of the 7th group. Noting that the old man looked disheveled, Tang Yeon-myeong observes that the members of the 7th group are nowhere to be seen. When Yeon-myeong asks Jiggle Changshin what is wrong, Changshin tries to calm down, remembering that he was prepared for such questions. He explains that the 7th group would not be competing. He explains that he waited for a long time, but the participants never showed up. He speculates that they might have been attacked by bandits or wild animals, further stating that such unfortunate events can happen without warning and cannot be predicted. Consequently, the competition will have to continue without the 7th group. As soon as Master Jiggle says this, the space behind him crackles again. Turning around in fright, Jiggle Changshin realizes that there's no way his formation would just crack like that. Grasping his sword, Tang Yeon-myeong asks the old man if intruders have broken through here as well. Blocking the Yeon-myeong's way, Jiggle insists he will go and check it out himself. Just then, a dagger strike is heard on the other side of the formation. The space behind Master Jiggle shatters into pieces. He is startled, realizing that his formation, one of the highest forms of the Jiggle family's techniques, has been broken. He is shocked, as no one had ever been able to break the phantom dome of the 7 locks so easily. Seeing the face of the 28th participant on the other side, Jiggle Changshin is taken aback. Meanwhile, after stepping out, Yeon-myeong smiles grimly, expressing relief and concern for Master Jiggle's well-being. Tang Yeon-myeong is astonished that Tang Yeon-myeong has broken the phantom dome with such ease. She is even more amazed that he managed to create an opening using an ordinary short sword. She questions how this is possible. Yeon-myeong explains that he hadn't destroyed the formation, but had only made an opening. He urges them to leave quickly as the opening will close soon. Their discussion is interrupted by the voice of the warden, who points his sword at the children and asks if they are from the 7th group. Confirming this, Tang Yeon-myeong asks the warden who he is. Yang points out to the man's hood, noting the Tang family crest painted on it. Lowering his sword, Tang Wanjin expresses that he was worried that they might have been attacked, as Instructor Jigel had suggested, but is relieved to see they are safe. Master Jigel Changshin looks terrified, while Yang mentions that it seems they were mistaken for being lost. He adds that thanks to marking the entrance of the formation, they were able to find their way back easily. The girls, surprised and confused, realize Jigel Changshin might have had a reason for his actions. Yang realizes that Jigel Changshin is likely acting under the Tang family's orders. For now, he decides to let it be, as his suspicions are not yet confirmed. However, he resolves that if it is revealed after the competition that Jigel Changshin collaborated with the elders against him, he will take action to root out the Jigel clan completely. Jigel Changshin quickly apologizes for his mistake and rushes off to check the broken formation. Meanwhile, Wanjin addresses the participants, explaining that there was some disturbance and welcoming them for arriving safely. He apologizes for the lapse in their escort's performance and introduces himself as Tang Wanjin, a member of the Bongwi Brigade responsible for their training during the competition period. Mirio realizes that the Bongwi Brigade, a direct military force under the former young clan leader of the Tang family, had disappeared years ago. Each member of the Bongwi Brigade was as powerful as a great leader, making it one of the Tang family's most formidable elite forces. She further understands that the previous young clan leader was Yang mother, the Poison Phoenix. Yang then asks Wanjin why he is not in the Tang family. Wanjin explains that years ago, they fought a desperate battle to protect their master, the young clan leader Poison Phoenix, against Heaven's brilliant demon lord. Unfortunately, they were defeated, failing to protect their own master, which left them feeling like sinners. Wanjin concludes his introduction there and instructs everyone to listen carefully as he explains the competition rules. He begins by explaining that the first year of the competition is a period for autonomous practice. Participants can train as they see fit and receive martial arts scriptures or teachings based on their performance. Yuri thinks about the legendary technique of the Tang family, the 10,000 Heavenly Flower Rain, which was lost while fighting Heaven's brilliant demon lord. She wonders if it can also be included in their training. Wanjin explains that the 10,000 Heavenly Flower Rain is granted to the one who becomes the young clan leader. Though the technique is incomplete, its essence has been passed down by the elders. Yang realizes that the 10,000 Heavenly Flower Rain is a technique that handles numerous hidden weapons like a storm, similar to the sword control technique. He considers that maybe he can try to mimic it to some extent. Wanjin further explains that they will receive the essence of the 10,000 Heavenly Flower Rain from the elders one by one. He admits he doesn't know if they can truly handle the technique, but encourages them to focus solely on their training. Whether they choose to train together or individually, they should feel free to do so, emphasizing the importance of dedication and practice. Yuri asks Wanjin where they will be staying and sleeping. Wanjin responds that they must become self-sufficient in the forest, as comfort will not make them strong. He emphasizes that adapting to extreme environments is a priority at their current level. Holding his hand gripped tight, Wanjin instructs them to start practicing based on their judgment. Yang comments that it is okay to live comfortably, noting that proper nutrition is important during the growth period and suggesting that adapting to the forest's environment seems unnecessary. Wanjin stares at him deadly, while the others are shocked and scared. Wanjin realizes that Yang attitude epitomizes arrogance. If this child is indeed the one who broke the barrier, it might be good to verify his abilities. Shocked, the other three immediately try to stop Yang from continuing his nonsensical behavior. Wanjin suddenly announces that if Yang passes a test, he can stay in the manor inside the formation. If he fails, he better be ready for the consequences. The test is simple. Team members will surround Yang and throw hidden weapons at him. The test ends if he manages to block or dodge them within 5 steps. They will start as soon as he covers his eyes. Yang, our Giga Chad, obediently covers his eyes, while the ninjas on the trees remain calm. A tense silence envelops the scene. Mirio ponders why the ninjas aren't attacking immediately, realizing they might be deliberately increasing the pressure over time. Suddenly, the ninjas launch 167 blades at Yang. With swift precision, our boy draws his blade and effortlessly deflects all the incoming blades. This display underscores a crucial aspect of martial arts. It's not just about technique, but also about fundamental principles such as weight, speed, and adaptability. The martial arts of Ascension encapsulate techniques like breaking, scattering, attaching, cutting, and sharpness. For Yang, who had already attained enlightenment through the sword in his previous life, deflecting the hidden weapons was a straightforward task. However, for those who had only trained without achieving enlightenment, it came as a shock. Wanjin observes that with just a single movement, Yeon-myeong repelled all the hidden weapons, but upon closer inspection, he realizes they weren't repelled but attracted. After effortlessly neutralizing each threat, Yeon-myeong removes his bandage and queries if he has passed the test. Wanjin, standing there completely stunned, manages to tell Yeon-myeong while coughing that he has indeed passed and can go to the manor to rest. However, Tang Yeon-myeong interjects, reminding him that he shouldn't leave his team behind to enjoy comfort alone. Yeon-myeong, with a mischievous grin, teases about the different taste of meals in the manor, but questions if they even provide meals in the forest, trying to make them jealous. Furious, Mirio tells him to stop right there, while the other two try to calm her down. Witnessing this, Wanjin feels relief seeing that the other members haven't lost their motivation. However, he realizes that the outcome of the battle may have already been decided before the competition even began. He acknowledges that Yeon-myeong could be the one, maybe he can revive the Sichuan Tang family. Meanwhile, turning behind, Yeon-myeong instructs his team members to make sure to include meat with every meal, mentioning that they need to eat well during their growth period. This time, they're hunting a pack of wolves for their dinner in the cave where they reside. Tang Yeon-myeong comments that it's fortunate the paralysis poison they prepared worked. Aijin adds that if they keep doing this, they should be fine. Later, as they eat, Yuri praises Tang Aijin's impressive poison-making skills, while Aijin notes that her rainstorm technique is not ordinary either. Tang Yuri continues reflecting on their journey. She mentions that it's been about 4 months since their first day, during which they were busy running away. She recalls their struggle with a bear encounter and the difficulty of finding prey, resorting to eating grassroots. They shed tears of relief when they finally succeeded in hunting. It was tough, but they somehow managed to find shelter. As they continue eating, Aijin expresses resentment towards Yeon-myeong, speculating that he must be living comfortably by now. Hearing his name, Mirio becomes annoyed and firmly expresses her disdain for him. Aijin explains that she was merely curious, but Mirio dismisses her explanation, expressing annoyance. She asserts that Yeon-myeong is probably idling around by himself, waiting and watching. With a hint of vindication, she predicts that once he goes to the manor, he'll receive what he deserves. Aijin mentions that considering Yeon-myeong's earlier performance, if he has continued to train until now, he must have become incredibly strong. Suddenly, Mirio realizes that all the meat has disappeared, not realizing her grave mistake. Tang Yuri admits that she ate it. Furious, Mirio and Aijin, holding knives to Yuri's face, lock the light, possibly planning to kill her for eating their food. In the Gangdong Mountains within the Seven Locks Phantom Dome Formation stronghold, our Jigachad is standing in the middle of the training ground, surrounded by the warriors of the Bongwi Brigade. Wanjin swiftly issues the command to commence. Responding promptly, the warriors initiate their onslaught from all angles. Yeon-myeong remains poised, effortlessly deflecting the charging warriors' blows. Despite some warriors falling, a multitude persists. Evading each attack with finesse, Yeon-myeong retaliates relentlessly. Realizing the moment is ripe to try out his new technique, Yeon-myeong grips a ring-like sharkin as his weapon. In one fluid motion, he tosses the weapon while leaping through the air. Witnessing Yeon-myeong's actions, the warriors get themselves ready, anticipating the onslaught. As Yeon-myeong's weapons scatter unpredictably, the warriors struggle to foresee their trajectories. One warrior voices the futility of attempting to block such randomness, only to realize too late as the shurikens find their mark relentlessly. Amidst the chaos, a warrior exclaims in astonishment at the incredible speed of the shurikens, too swift for the human eye to follow. Observing the spectacle from the edge of the training ground, Wanjin finds himself in disbelief. He remarks that what he's witnessing cannot be real, as Yeon-myeong effortlessly neutralizes trained members within moments, controlling the power of his wide attack to merely graze everyone's skin. Wanjin speculates whether this technique was something Yeon-myeong created. Seeking clarification, Wanjin queries Yeon-myeong, who modestly attributes the feat to himself. Acknowledging the difficulty of even blocking such a technique, Wanjin expresses admiration, prompting him to inquire about its name. Yeon-myeong responds that he named it Whirling Line Frenzy Dance. Wanjin remarks to Yeon-myeong about the significant internal energy consumption associated with the Whirling Line Frenzy Dance, questioning how he manages it. Wanjin elaborates, mentioning that he once sought a manual on eye techniques from one of the warriors. He recalls encountering two techniques, Piercing Sky Eyes and Current Flow Eyes. The warrior advised prioritizing Piercing Sky Eyes over Current Flow Eyes due to the latter's incomplete status. Yeon-myeong, with confidence befitting his prowess, asserts to Wanjin that he has indeed mastered Current Flow Eyes. Wanjin, taken aback by this revelation, finds himself stunned by Yeon-myeong's claim. He questions himself how Yeon-myeong managed to master such an ancient and incomplete technique of the Tang family. Yeon-myeong explains that although the essence of current flow eyes was missing, he recognized it as part of the ascendant martial arts. Using this technique, he can throw weapons along a trajectory he visualizes, allowing him to hit precise points with minimal internal energy expenditure. Wonjin, no longer easily surprised, informs Yeon-myeong that in 2 months, kids from his team will arrive to undergo the same test under identical conditions. He reveals that these kids have already demonstrated the skills necessary to advance to the next test, but opted to return more refined. Yeon-myeong concludes that it's good for his teammates and expresses excitement to see how strong they have become. As he walks away from the training ground, Wonjin reflects on his earlier worries about the kids' training methods, but dismisses them as irrelevant. Yeon-myeong, meanwhile, ponders his past life, where his only connection was with his master, the Sword Ghost. Now, despite his origins and past actions, he is forming new bonds, which he considers part of an ordinary life. He finds himself missing his teammates and realizes that he wants to see them soon, lost in thoughts of his previous days. Back in the cave where the 3 participants had taken shelter, Mirio, with a grim expression, angrily shouts at Tang Yeon-myeong, accusing him of eating all the food. 2 months have passed, and it is time for the remaining participants to join Yeon-myeong at the manor. Mirio, now highly determined, reflects on their progress. She notes that on the first day of training, they were mere novices, but now they have reached an entirely new level of power. With a fierce expression, she declares that before reuniting with Yeon-myeong, she intends to excitedly split his head in half. With a scary expression, she imagines a future scenario where at the end of the competition, the announcement declares, "Down with Yeon-myeong, it is victory for the 7th team." The group arrives in front of the manor, each sporting a grumpy expression. Tang Mirio shouts for Tang Yeon-myeong to come out immediately, but after a while there is no response. The manor is strangely quiet. Tang Mirio wonders aloud why it is so silent and speculates if he has run away. Clenching her fist, Tang Yuri laments that she wanted to smash his head. She joins in, sharing the same frustration. Tang Mirio then notices that only the 2 of them are raging and shouting. When she turns her head towards Aijin, who stands at the back, she is shocked to find Tang Yeon-myeong standing there next to her. Both are stunned, their jaws dropping in disbelief. With a relaxed expression, Yeon-myeong reveals that he was hiding to surprise them and asks what they intended to do with his head. The shock on their faces is evident as they try to process the situation. Yeon-myeong smiles and teasingly calls Mirio a cutie. Tang Mirio looks shocked as she tries to process what has just happened. Yeon-myeong asks them what they are doing, further teasing them by recalling their talk about smashing head and splitting it in 2. He then asks if they will show him the results of half a year's training or if he should attack first, his eyes glinting mischievously. However, Mirio quickly becomes scared and says there is no way they were serious, insisting it was all a joke. With this unexpected turn of events, she ponders how they failed to notice him. Living in the forest should have sharpened their senses, but she wonders if this is the difference between them as she continues to contemplate the situation. Tang Mirio observes that he has grown taller and even his face has changed. Startled by her own thoughts, she realizes she is developing feelings for him, rationalizing that it's because she has only seen animals in the forest until now. Hugging his 2 friends, Yeon-myeong reassures her not to be too discouraged. He acknowledges that from his perspective, Mirio has become incomparably stronger than before. With a teasing tone, he adds that she might seem less impressive only because he is there. In the meeting room where the Jegal clan's elders hold their gatherings, Jegal Changshin arrives. One of the Jegal elder acknowledges his presence while another comments that it has been 6 months. It is hard to see his face. Jegal Changshin, also famous as Jeonju, taking his seat, suggests they get straight to the point as they don't have all day. He asks other elders if there is anyone of note in their group. One of the elders speaks up, mentioning that participant number 2, Aka Yeon-myeong, has shown a notable growth rate compared to others. He explains that rather than a will to become stronger or to survive, it seems she is burning with immense hostility towards someone and is feeding on that emotion. Another elder interjects, mentioning that if they are discussing potential winners, they can't ignore participant number 10, who passed the warrior's test in just a month. As the discussion continues, Jegal Changshin dwells on his own thoughts, noting that participants number 2 and 10 have certainly stood out, but compared to number 28, they seem quite ordinary. With a grave expression, Jegal Changshin recounts his observations of participant number 28, thinking that it was surprising enough that number 28 broke out of the formation, but when he spied on number 28's training later, he was utterly shocked as the participant demonstrated skills that even skilled masters couldn't perform. However, recruiting participant number 28 is too risky since he seems to have noticed his scheming. One of the elders, sensing Jeonju is uneasy, interjects with concern, asking if he is all right. The old man, already startled, thinks to himself that it's probably better not to bring up his true concerns. He then dismisses it, saying that it's nothing and that he tried to find someone from his group but found nothing. Jiggle Changshin then addresses the other elders, expressing that hearing about participant number 2 has piqued his interest. He suggests recruiting number 2 and introducing her to his nephew, who is quite a character. He mentions that he heard number 2 has a disfigured face from a facial injury, and it should be hard to sway the heart of such a child. He proposes that if they help this child win the competition and become the young clan leader, then engage her with his niece, the Jiggle family will officially become the external family of the Tang family head. Jiggle Changshin continues outlining his strategic maneuver, explaining that this will grant them the authority to intervene in Tang family affairs. By increasing their influence within the Tang family and securing interests, it will eventually merge the Tang family with their main house. He further enlightens the council that this is why they supported the Tang family's competition. Jiggle Changshin elaborates, revealing the depth of his calculated plan. Jiggle Changshin then wraps up the meeting, his tone final yet his mind already plotting the next move. As he exits the meeting room, his thoughts churn with calculated schemes. He deems number 28 too valuable to lose and considers tempting him with revenge if he survives the competition. By adopting him as a son and offering him the position of Jiggle leader, Jiggle Changshin envisions a significant strategic advantage. Meanwhile, back at the manor where the participants reside, Mirio reflects on their intensified training regimen. Despite the increased demands, she acknowledges that nothing compares to the comfort of a good night's sleep. Turning her attention to Tang Yori, she inquires if Aijun and Yeon-myeong went to the lab today. Yori informs Mirio that Aijun stormed into the lab, grinding his teeth and vowing to kill. Mirio's eyes sparkle with excitement upon hearing this, acknowledging that Aijun is the best in poison-making after all. Inside the lab, Aijun displays the poison he meticulously prepared to Yeon-myeong, emphasizing its potency and significance. As Yeon-myeong moves the bowl of poison closer to his mouth, Aijun demands an explanation, questioning what Yeon-myeong is intending to do. With Aijun's attention fixed on the poison, Yeon-myeong surprises her by swiftly ingesting the poison she prepared. Caught off guard, Aijun panics, shouting at Yeon-myeong for ingesting the poison and labeling him as a maniac. She urgently requests him to spit it out and starts shaking Yeon-myeong. Worried, Aijun wonders if the poison is already taking effect. Yeon-myeong spits the poison all over Aijun and asks her why does she keep shaking the person's body like that. He then questions the potency of the poison, expressing surprise that it's weaker than expected. Furious, Aijun asks Yeon-myeong what he is talking about. That is a poison that could melt even his insides, but then questions why he is still okay. In a moment of playful banter, Yeon-myeong suggests that perhaps there's only one explanation. The poison is subpar. Offended, Aijun shouts, saying, why isn't he dying? Outside the lab, Mirio realizes that their plan isn't working for some reason. Inside, Aijun urgently pleads with Yeon-myeong not to drink the poison like it's a booze, her agitation evident in her voice. Despite her protests, Yeon-myeong persists in consuming more of the poison, unaffected by its effects. Frustrated, Aijun voices her concern about running out of poison, questioning why it isn't working. She wonders aloud if Yeon-myeong is immune to all poisons. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong inwardly contemplates that his resistance isn't just immunity to all poisons, but rather a result of the Tang family's core technique, the poison refining madness. Yeon-myeong muses aloud about the paradox of those who work with poisons potentially becoming poisoned themselves. As someone titled the Master of Poisons, he questions whether he should be able to control even the poisons that enter his body. As expected, he notes that the poisons entering his body are transformed into internal energy and accumulate within him. Within a certain threshold, poisons become indistinguishable from elixirs for him. However, he reflects that this state can only be achieved through profound realization, not merely by viewing poison as a weapon. Yeon-myeong further explains that weak poisons hardly increase his internal energy anymore. He now requires stronger poisons. He concludes by noting that there are many things to take care of before leading an ordinary life. Yeon-myeong reflects that he could take on the elders anytime he wants. However, he acknowledges the potential threat posed by the Black Death Alliance or the Heavenly Brilliant Demon Lord, which could jeopardize the outcome. While he holds no personal grudge against the Black Death Alliance, he recognizes the significance of their influence, particularly since they've divided Sichuan City. He contemplates the leader of the Death Alliance, known as a genius of the era, who has already destroyed 3 of the 9 factions. Yeon-myeong admits that if he were his former self, he could easily confront such a figure, but acknowledges he is not there yet. His words are laden with implications of the challenges ahead. To achieve the normal life he dreams of, he realizes he must become as strong as he was in his previous life. He considers the possibility of Aijun creating a poison several times stronger than their current capabilities. Just then, Aijin comments that if only he could create the Tang family's 10 poisons. Surprised, Yeon-myeong inquires what is that. In response, Aijin questions Yeon-myeong's claim to be the blood of the previous clan patriarch, wondering how he could have no knowledge of the Tang family's 10 poisons. These poisons are the 10 strongest ones passed down from their ancestors, with each subsequent poison being stronger than the last. However, most of their formulas have been lost over time. The 10th poison is so potent that even masters of the transcendent level were affected. She adds that the remaining poisons are managed and divided among the elders. Hearing Aijin's explanation, Yeon-myeong's expression turns contemplative. The idea that even masters of the transcendent level can't handle the 10th poison makes it sound especially appealing to him. He asks Aijin if he can create the 10th poison for him. However, Aijin, clearly exasperated, reminds him that the formula for the 10th poison has been lost to time. Yeon-myeong responds with a tone of disappointment, remarking that it's a pity since the current poisons no longer have any effect on him, leaving him without even a sensation. Meanwhile, number 2 Aka Yeon-myeong, while getting choked by someone, explains that the 10th poison is not something to be taken lightly. Its use is normally forbidden due to its extreme danger. She tells her opponent that even he wouldn't survive drinking it. Enraged and coughing, her opponent demands to know what she has done to him as his mouth begins to burn. Yeon-myeong confronts him, asking if he wants to repeat his words about her face. Despite his agony, he struggles to speak, and before he can act further, his body crumbles, consumed by the intense power of the poison. In an instant, he is incinerated. As Yeon-myeong surveys the remnants of her fallen opponent, she reflects on the potency of the poison bestowed upon her by her grandfather. She realizes that this is the Tang family's 10th poison, and she declares this realization with a mixture of awe and determination. Standing amidst the aftermath of battle, her eyes gleam with a newfound sense of purpose. The revelation of the true power of the Tang family's techniques ignites a fire within her, driving her to push herself further and unlock even greater depths of strength and skill. Fueled by a burning rage, she vows to never forget the pain she experienced that day. She resolves to harness that rage and pain, using it as fuel to torment Yeon-myeong plenty in the poison match. Yeon-myeong and others gather outside the manor as Wonjin addresses them, noting that it has been a year since they began training for the competition. He acknowledges their progress in refining their martial arts and addressing their weaknesses, but declares that the real challenge is about to begin. He announces that they would now decide on a team leader. Tang Yuri and Mirio look stunned at the announcement, but Wonjin clarifies that for now, they will appoint a temporary leader. However, by the 3rd year of the competition, they have to officially elect a team leader, as the leader of each team will represent them in the upcoming Gu Poison match that is going to be a battle of life or death. Wonjin explains that it is crucial for the most outstanding participant to become the team leader. Tang Yuri questions if not all participants will go to the Gu Poison match. Mirio comments that the selection will likely be based on achievements, implying that participant 28, Tang Yeon-myeong, deserves to be chosen. Tang Aijin acknowledges this, suggesting that Yeon-myeong is not just a team leader, but also a leading contender. Wonjin, with a stern expression, reminds them that Yeon-myeong is only a temporary team leader for now. He asks if anyone objects to Yeon-myeong becoming the team leader. Then Wonjin calls for Yeon-myeong to step forward and extends a wooden box toward him. Curious about its contents, Yeon-myeong inquires. Wonjin explains that it contains the Tang family's elixir, known as the Heavenly Heart Pill. He elaborates on its significance, describing it as an elixir made from brewing the root of a 1-year-old ginseng, which significantly increases internal energy depending on the user's level. Seeing such a precious elixir handed to Yeon-myeong, the 3 other participants express their surprise and concern in unison. However, they also recognize it as a privilege bestowed upon the person becoming the team leader. They understand that the Tang family has high expectations for them all. As Wonjin gives the explanation, he ponders inwardly, especially about Yeon-myeong, who he has high expectations for. He considers that by taking the Heavenly Heart Pill, Yeon-myeong will experience something different. After the explanation ends, Yeon-myeong responds by asking if there is anything else. He expresses that he doesn't need an elixir and requires something else instead. Yeon-myeong's response annoys everyone. They express frustration, questioning the value of the elixir and suggesting that Yeon-myeong should give it to someone else if he won't use it. Even Wonjin is annoyed by Yeon-myeong's refusal of the elixir, but he tries to maintain his composure. Wonjin asks Yeon-myeong to clarify his request, and Yeon-myeong surprises everyone by asking for a potent poison, the strongest poison among all, specifically the Tang family's 10 poisons. This unexpected request shocks them all. Later, in a room, Yeon-myeong shows his weapons to the others. Mirio questions him about the absence of elixir, wondering if the weapons are all he brought. Yeon-myeong responds that he couldn't obtain the Tang family's 10 poisons, so he brought the weapons instead. Hearing Yao Myeong's explanation, Mirio becomes annoyed, criticizing him for not bringing the elixir and deeming him foolish. Yori, however, suggests respecting Yao Myeong's choice. Aijin attempts to diffuse the tension by pointing out that the elders would be pleased to have saved a heavenly heart pill. Yao Myeong comments that he has not returned the heavenly heart pill yet. It is revealed that a few hours earlier, while handing out the wooden box, Wonjin asks Yao Myeong if the weapons are sufficient instead of the heavenly heart pill. Yao Myeong regrets not obtaining a potent poison but believes the weapons will suffice. Wonjin reflects that Yao Myeong is the only one who would request poison instead of an elixir. He then asks Yao Myeong if he needs anything else, but Yao Myeong assures him that the weapons are sufficient for him. Yao Myeong poses a question to Wonjin regarding the heavenly heart pill's fate. Wonjin responds by suggesting that it should be returned to the Medicine King Hall. He then asks Yao Myeong if he has changed his mind. Yao Myeong responds with an intriguing idea. He suggests that if the team members unite to defeat the temporary team leader, they should re-elect a new team leader and reward them with a heavenly heart pill. Wonjin acknowledges the idea's merit, stating that it should serve as ample motivation for the team. He reflects that since it's an investment in the future of the Tang family, there's no need to hesitate. In the present, Yao Myeong encourages his teammates to challenge him at any time before the start of the Gu Poison match, urging them to give their best effort to defeat him. After his explanation, Mirio enthusiastically suggests bringing out the shurikens. Observing his team's response, Yao Myeong ponders the situation and realizes that they shouldn't expect him to comply with their requests. Even if he becomes the young clan leader, he resolves to ensure that everyone receives a heavenly heart pill. Not long after, a voice from outside the room calls out Yao Myeong's name, signaling his challenger's arrival. Yao Myeong emerges, appearing ready to establish the pecking order. An impatient expression crosses his face as he responds to the challenger's excitement with urgency. Months pass, and in the training ground, the participants spar and test their skills. Aijin groans as she lies down, feeling defeated once again. Yao Myeong mocks her, noting the countless times she has lost. Mirio observes his confidence, wondering if he ever tires of winning. Yuri adds her resignation, admitting that she gave up on defeating Yao Myeong long ago. Regardless of the competition, Yuri confesses to finding amusement in watching Yao Myeong's face, acknowledging the fun element in his victories. Just then, Yao Myeong asks Aijin if she will accept defeat, extending his hand toward her with confidence. He asserts his ambition, stating that he's going to take the position of the young clan leader. Aijin tells him that they haven't met other teams yet, but she can't even imagine him losing. Acknowledging Yao Myeong's strength, she asks if he will ignore them once he becomes the young clan leader. Witnessing this from afar, Tang Wonjin remarks that everyone has grown tremendously over the past year. Thus, participant number 28 is formally appointed as the team leader. He adds that tomorrow, the actual Gu Poison match begins and instructs them to make their final preparations. 3 years have elapsed since they commenced their training for the competition. Tang Wonjin reflects on their journey, noting withdrawals and even deaths in other teams due to disqualifications. However, compared to them, he acknowledges the challenges they face with all members of their 7th team safe and having achieved growth comparable to their Bangui Brigade. He encourages them to take pride in this accomplishment. Having cautioned them repeatedly about the Gu Poison match, he does so one final time. In this match, the use of extreme poisons, except for the 10 specified poisons, is allowed, a departure from the previously prohibited use of poison in sparring. He emphasizes the gravity of this upcoming challenge, underscoring that the Gu Poison match is where individuals employ their deadliest means. He instructs Yao Myeong to maximize his capabilities. Wonjin then hands Yao Myeong a pouch bag containing various poisons, stating that they are the poisons he requested. Aijin reminds Yao Myeong that even a single drop of these substances can be lethal. She explains that the ocular poison is only effective if applied directly to the eyes, and she elaborates on the potency of the 9 sickness powder, cautioning him about its effects. With that, the poison instructions conclude. Aijin asks Yao Myeong to promise that he will win, to which he confidently agrees. Yao Myeong further asserts that by the end of the competition, the only ones who could have harmed him are his comrades. Then, with unwavering confidence, he heads toward the portal, bidding farewell to his companions. Meanwhile, in another area within the formation, Yao Myeong stands sternly, her resolve evident as she reflects that finally the day of the Gu Poison match has arrived. She tells herself that she is ready for the challenge ahead, feeling fortunate to have the 10 poisons her grandfather prepared and her new ally. Continuing, she subtly hints at her strategic edge, recalling her conversation with Jigul Chongshin. He had proposed to assist her in the match, emphasizing the significance of the Gu Poison match arena being arranged with their family's formation. He'd assured her that manipulating the formulation and positioning her favorably would be easy for them. When she questioned his motives and what he wanted in return, Jigul Chongshin honestly admitted that their Jigul family sought revival, a desire to maintain their sovereignty. They wished to join forces with the Tang family without relinquishing all their power. Yeon-myeong inquires whether Jigul Chongshin wants to use her as a pawn to intervene in Tang family matters, expressing skepticism about his intentions. She asks him what he would do if she were to reject them all. Jigul Chongshin replies that this is precisely why he has come, to build trust. He urges her to share her desires with him. In the present, Yeon-myeong reaffirms her determination, declaring that she has waited and endured for 3 years just for this day. She resolves to kill Yeon-myeong and reclaim the life she lost, her determination unwavering. In another area within the formation ground, a figure holding a blood-stained sword expresses disappointment. He remarks that he had expected much from the Tang family's strongest military force, only to find them lacking. He reflects on the past 3 years, feeling that it was all just talk and wasted time. After eliminating all of the instructors and participants, he walks toward the gate leading to the area of the Gu Poison match. He expresses a wish for more interesting adversaries inside, anticipating more worthy opponents. Yet in another place, Yeon-myeong arrives at a hill, his anticipation evident. He remarks that it's a perfect day for someone to die, his determination clear. Stating the vast surroundings of the Gu Poison match area, Yeon-myeong remarks on its expansiveness, noting that it will take some time to encounter anyone. But just when he thinks he's all alone in this martial arts playground, his spidey senses start tingling because he catches sight of someone giving him the old stink eye from beyond the boundaries of the formation. The observer, a man with a plan and a whole lot of pent-up frustration to boot, notes that as expected from the 7th group, number 28 has appeared. He expresses frustration, saying that the more he sees, the more he realizes his potential is being wasted. But since the Jigul family has made its choice, he resolves to eliminate number 28 quickly before any variables arise. However, as he strategizes his next move, he realizes Yeon-myeong is observing him from inside of formation. He feels a sense of tension as their eyes meet. Startled by the unexpected connection, the observer, who is actually Jigul Chongshin, wonders how such piercing could occur through so many layers to the reality of formations. However, he suddenly gets interrupted as the connection to the inside of the formation is disrupted. Simply waving his hand, Yeon-myeong remarks that he felt an unpleasant gaze, wondering if it's from the Jigul family, recalling Tang Wonjin's warning about interference in the match. In the Gu Poison match, no one except the participants should interfere, but Yeon-myeong has heard that the Jigul family has been meddling since the start of the competition, and now even in the Gu Poison match. Whatever they're planning, he resolves to let them try, focusing instead on the match ahead, as he's not about to let anyone, not even the Jigul family, rain on his parade. Meanwhile, Jigul Chongshin can't believe what just happened. Pondering inwardly, he reflects that he was surrounded by several layers of formations, yet Yeon-myeong recognized him. If he hadn't quickly withdrawn his true sight, which he involved in the world of formations, he would have been blinded. Acknowledging the danger of the situation, he realizes the peril involved as Yeon-myeong's swordsmanship cuts through the space of the formations, reaching its essence. Chongshin realizes that he has never seen such a level of swordsmanship in his life. He admits to recognizing Yeon-myeong's exceptional skill. Chongshin further thinks that this guy is not someone they can handle, and if he notices their intention, he'll surely seek revenge. He intends to stop number 28 by any means necessary. He resolves, understanding the gravity of the situation. In a far corner of the formation, a participant finds herself caught in a nightmare, her body a canvas painted with bruises and blood. Desperation claws at her like a feral beast as she scrambles for dear life, wondering how she stumbled into this living hell. Facing death head-on was never part of the plan, but the memory of that harrowing encounter refuses to fade, haunting her like a ghost in the night. With every step she takes, fear tightens its grip around her heart, squeezing out any semblance of hope. But in the depths of despair, a flicker of determination ignites. She'll surrender to anyone who crosses her path, driven by the primal instinct to survive at any cost. Fear and despair grip her thoughts as she reflects on her desire for a better outcome, yearning to support her struggling parents. However, despite her intentions, the sudden appearance of that menacing figure shattered any hopes of negotiation or surrender. His goal was just to kill them. Realizing her hope for peace shattered by the merciless attacker, she resigns herself to surrendering to anyone she encounters. Clinging to a sliver of hope, she wonders if the team leaders from other groups might still be alive, seeking a glimmer of salvation amidst the chaos. However, her thoughts are interrupted by the menacing presence of another participant, known for his brutality, who taunts her with the heads of his victims. Despite her earlier resolve, her fate seems grim in the face of such relentless cruelty. The assailant acknowledges the swiftness of her lightness technique, but despairs at being caught so easily. Expressing her disbelief at the brutality unfolding before her, she pleads with her attacker, questioning why they must go to such extremes, especially considering their shared allegiance to the Tang family. However, her words fall on deaf ears as the assailant dismisses any association with their shared lineage and delivers a final fatal blow. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong finds a cave and realizes it's exactly what he needs. No human presence means no risk of being found by someone. Yeon-myeong notes that there is nothing that particularly alerts his senses, so he decides to quickly ascend to the transcendent level there. He sits down cross-legged and tells himself that now is the time, as his body has grown strong enough to avoid any side effects from reaching transcendent. The process to ascend to the transcendent level begins and mana starts accumulating in his belly. Yeon-myeong reflects that there are two conditions for reaching transcendent: enlightenment and the internal energy to open the I Am Poison meridians. He remarks that with his past life experiences, he has practically already attained enlightenment, and his internal energy has also steadily increased, thanks to the poison created by Aijin, so all preparations are already complete. Yeon-myeong feels the intense pressure of energy gathering around him. He explains that he has destroyed the barriers on his Im meridians and I Am Poison meridians, releasing the accumulated poison and refining his madness. Just then, his internal energy bursts out with explosive force. Normally, martial artists experience tremendous pain during this process, with joints breaking and reattaching countless times, literally rebirthing into a new body. Having experienced this in a previous life, the second time isn't difficult for Yeon-myeong. He remarks that it was wise for him to regularly cleanse the meridians of impurities, as if the impurities had remained during the shedding process, it would have been troublesome. Soon, the process of ascending to transcendent level gets completed. Coming out of the cave, Yeon-myeong realizes he can't go into battle wearing clothes that smell of filth. Feeling a surge of power within him, Yeon-myeong remarks that it is not bad. Preparing for the impending test of his newfound power, he acknowledges that this is just the beginning, but finds it promising. He then sticks out his two fingers and begins to test his newfound power. While doing so, he remarks that maintaining a clean and healthy body has always been a priority, even before participating in the goo poison match. While keeping his other hand behind his back, he adds that there are a few other noticeable physical changes. Yeon-myeong stops his thoughts and focuses on the task at hand. A small bright circle of light appears next to his fingers, and an inner force radiates mightily in all directions. Just then, he waves his two fingers, drawing streaks of inner energy in the air. The energy moves away from him at full speed, smashing into the rocks with a bright flash, causing pieces of rocks to fly around. Yeon-myeong continues to stand in place, relaxing his arm as he reflects on the impressive efficiency of his internal energy. Around him, the rocks that flew through the air fall to the ground. He spins around to face the rock, which now has a huge hole in it from his attack, wondering if it is time for him to start moving properly. Meanwhile, in another place, Tang Yeon-myeong is sitting on a tree branch where he has stuck his sword blade. Below him stands Jongul, who is severely injured. Tang Yeon-myeong, displaying impatience, remarks on his boredom and directly asks Jongul what he's been up to for the past 3 years. He questions whether Jongul did not come here to become the head of the clan. Jongul, standing at the bottom of the tree with his arm completely cut open, remains silent. Tang Yeon-myeong rudely questions his silence and orders him to speak. He inquires if he has not trained, and if so, then asks why he is so weak. Jongul curses inwardly and desperately wonders why, out of all the people in this match, he had to run into this guy. Blood drips profusely from his head and mouth, gradually beginning to congeal. He closes his eyes in despair and clenches his teeth, reflecting that Tang Yeon-myeong was an orphan raised by the Grand Elder as his own grandson. Moreover, he is the favorite pupil of the Grand Elder, and the rumors said that he was monstrously strong. Tang Yeon-myeong, waving his legs nonchalantly, catches Jongul's gaze. Jongul reflects that he thought that he had a chance if he struck first, but he could not even touch his collar and ended up like this. Memories flood back of Tang Yeon-myeong furiously stabbing him with his sword, inflicting injuries to his arms and back, blood splattering everywhere. Inwardly cursing, he gazes upward with one eye and comes to terms with the possibility that he might truly be facing death. Jongul keeps his hand on his shoulder, glaring up angrily through gritted teeth. Suddenly, an image of Yeon-myeong crosses his mind, and he wonders why he is thinking of that guy right now. Jongul grins, questioning his sanity as the thought that he hasn't run into Yeon-myeong instead actually eases his mind. Tang Yeon-myeong asks him with a frown if he's in a position to laugh, questioning if he's hiding something, perhaps a secret technique. Jongul laughs again and denies it, replying Yeon-myeong that he just remembered something scarier than him. Tang Yeon-myeong stares down at him with unconcealed incomprehension, commenting that is a bit insulting, is not it? Tang Yeon-myeong says then he has to make himself even more scarier and inquires Jongul if he wants him to share something. Jongul frowns and remains silent. Tang Yeon-myeong slides down with his sword on his shoulder and pointing a finger at himself, reveals that he is actually a spy for the Black Death Alliance. Tang Yeon-myeong freezes in place, dumbfounded, not expecting to hear this, and after a moment, he only manages to utter, "What?" Tang Yeon-myeong grins and says that since Jeongil discovered his little secret, he can't be allowed to live, asking if he agrees with this. Jeongil's eyes widen in desperation and fear. Tang Yeon-myeong then addresses him, noting that since Jeongil is going to die soon anyway, he will tell him his real name. He then lifts his sword to swing and reveals that he's a member of the Great Darkness Silent Sword Sect, and his name is Maek In-guk. With his other hand, he holds onto Jeongil's shoulder to prevent him from running away, and just when he's about to strike, he gets frozen, his entire body immobilized. Jeongil looks ahead blankly. Tang Yeon-myeong, now angry, demands to know what's going on. Black liquid that looks like tears begins to flow from his eyes. He clenches his teeth tightly, realizing that his body isn't moving. Suddenly, he hears footsteps behind him. It is our Giga Chad, Tang Yeon-myeong, who walks up to them, explaining that he sensed someone's presence and decided to check it out. Tang Yeon-myeong's eyes and mouth drip profusely, his gaze glazed over. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong recognizes a familiar face and identifies Jeongil, expressing gladness at their meeting and inquiring about his recovery from their last encounter. Jeongil, dazed and confused, looks up at Yeon-myeong, struggling to understand what is happening and who is this person. Years ago, in the middle of the night, Maek In-guk inquires his father if he wants him to become a spy for the Sichuan Tang Family. His father confirms this plan, explaining that with Maek In-guk's talents, merely a few days pretending to be an orphan will attract someone to take him in. He adds that within a few years, the Tang family will initiate the young clan leader competition, regardless of direct or collateral lineage. Maek In-guk must weaken their ranks by eliminating other contenders who arrive later. He assures him that if Maek In-guk returns after completing his mission, everyone in the family will acknowledge him. These words currently accompany Maek In-guk, who lies on the ground, bleeding profusely. He bites his lower lip, staring ahead in a daze. In his mind's eye, it feels as if his organs are melting. He looks at Yeon-myeong's back and wonders what this guy has done to him. Jeongil, meanwhile, rises from the ground, still holding his injured shoulder. He stutters, questioning if he is Yeon-myeong. Yeon-myeong confirms this with a simple yes and frowns, asking if he should slam Jeongil's face into the ground like before to make him recognize it. Tang Jeongil, stunned, stutters that it really is him. Yeon-myeong points a finger at Maek In-guk, who lies on the ground, and asks if not this guy confessed to being a spy. Jeongil stutters back exactly, adding that Maek In-guk said so himself. Looking at the spy, Yeon-myeong says that he has heard clearly about him mentioning Dark Moon's sword sect. He then wonders was he the tale he sensed before entering Gangdong Mountain. However, Yeon-myeong decides to capture him first. With a gesture of his fingers, he forces a needle out of his neck, causing Maek In-guk to cry in pain. Seeing the poison needle in Yeon-myeong's hands, Jeongil comments if Yeon-myeong coated the needle with poison. He wonders what kind of poison causes such a reaction from such a small needle. Yeon-myeong turns to Jeongil and asks if he has seen any other participants. Jeongil suggests they should neutralize the poison and interrogate him about his purpose. Yeon-myeong reflects that they can detoxify him to extract information, but if the spy tries to seize the moment, it could be risky. Realizing this, he declares that the spy has already admitted to being from the Black Death Alliance, making his motives clear, so there is no need to detoxify him. Meanwhile, Maek In-guk clenches his teeth, dripping with anger and undisguised rage as he struggles to stand, leaning on his weakened arms. Jeongil turns to Yeon-myeong and comments that he has changed a lot, rubbing the back of his head awkwardly. He adds that they had bad blood, but Yeon-myeong seems unfazed, and if that were still an issue, he would be the one lying there right now instead of Maek In-guk. He then bows in front of Yeon-myeong, expressing that he is truly sorry for what happened back then. Yeon-myeong looks at him and asks what he is doing all of a sudden. He holds his hand out to the side, motioning for him to stop, and says that he doesn't care about the past anyway, so he shouldn't let it bother him. Meanwhile, Tang Jeongil looks up and says that there is nothing he can do about it now, but he thought it best to apologize properly. Yeon-myeong grins and exhales, reiterating that everything is fine and there's nothing to worry about. Jeongil opens his mouth in awe as he notices something strange up ahead. He immediately and frantically calls out Yeon-myeong's name, warning him that something is behind him. Yeon-myeong looks at Jeongil in surprise while behind him, Maek In-guk swings his sword in a leap. Through his anger, Maek In-guk announces that if he isn't going to survive anyway, he will at least drag Yeon-myeong down with him. Thinking he's the protagonist, he slashes at Yeon-myeong only to cut through an afterimage. Yeon-myeong gets behind him and tells him that he doesn't play with people who are about to die. Like a Chad, he grips Maek In-guk's shoulder, warning him not to retaliate or he'll have no body left to bury. Stuttering, Maek In-guk admits to Yeon-myeong's ruthlessness as he falls to the ground, succumbing to his fate. Meanwhile, Jongul is astounded by Yeon-myeong's continued dominance over his adversaries despite facing one of the top contenders. What perplexes him further is Yeon-myeong's effortless neutralization of the final technique from the black and white sword school. Yeon-myeong then points out to Jongul now that only they are left, prompting Jongul to consider how they should determine the victor. Jongul, wise enough to recognize defeat, proposes to surrender and Yeon-myeong allows it. However, finding himself trapped, Jongul tells Yeon-myeong that he doesn't know the way out. In response, Yeon-myeong just ruthlessly tears apart the formation and commands Jongul to leave immediately, showcasing his sheer brutality. Then, in an instant, Yeon-myeong vanishes from the scene. Meanwhile, at the Dark Moon Sword Sect headquarters, hundreds of men are engaged in swordsmanship practice. Among them, a man holds a dead worm in his hand. This worm was previously transplanted into Mek In-guk, and its death signifies Mek In-guk's death. The man reflects that although Mek In-guk was an illegitimate child born between him and a servant, his talents surpassed those of his siblings, and after discovering this, his wife feared that he will take the heir's place and tried to kill him more than a dozen times. That is why he made him live as a spy in the Tang clan. He then clenches his fists in anger, regretting his inaction as a father. Determined to make amends, he resolves to avenge his child. He commands all of his disciples to gather and declares that they will soon destroy the Tang clan. He declares that from that day onward, no one bearing the Tang clan name will return alive from Mount Gangdong, where the competition is taking place. Later at night, Yeon-myeong reflects to himself that something seems off as despite running throughout the day and light, he hasn't encountered a single human. He finds it difficult to believe that the formation world could be so vast unless the formations have been manipulated to prevent approach. Understanding this, he concludes that the remaining survivors must be in league with the Jegal family and comprehends the entirety of their scheme. He declares that Jegal family must pay the price for their crimes. Yeon-myeong then gazes at the stunning sky before drifting into sleep, his thoughts lingering on his mother. That's when Yeon-myeong unexpectedly encounters Yeon-myeong. However, she fails to recognize Yeon-myeong. She reflects that she requested to meet either the last survivor or Yeon-myeong in a vulnerable moment. She can't decipher his identity. Nevertheless, it's regrettable for her to have to kill someone so handsome. She disperses the arsenic poison gas and deploys one of the 10 poisons of the Tang clan. To her shock, Yeon-myeong suddenly grabs her neck and demands to know if she is the one collaborating with the Jegal family. Our chat informs her that while everyone else was competing, she found a safe place and attempted to sneak up on the last survivor as the dog grows hungry for a bone. She realizes that this boy knew she was coming. Yeon-myeong warns her that if she wants to continue breathing, she better answer him, showcasing gender equality at its peak. Yeon-myeong contemplates killing her since she refuses to answer, while she curses herself as she had dropped her blade in panic. Looking at her face, Yeon-myeong deduces that she is Yeon-myeong, but she can't understand how he knows her name. Yeon-myeong's merciless nature emerges as he comments that her personality hasn't changed, implying should he disfigure her entire face this time. Meanwhile, the Jegal clown is gripped with fear as he acknowledges the failure of their mission and Yeon-myeong's ability to overcome opponents of higher levels. He remarks that this individual has proven himself a formidable adversary and has dismantled all their formations with ease. He reflects that although number 10 managed to defeat all adversaries, he ultimately fell to Yeon-myeong's prowess, and now this Jegal clown doubts whether Yeon-myeong can stand against Yeon-myeong, recognizing that if Yeon-myeong emerges victorious, it signals the end for them. That's when he notices a source of light within the formation. It's Mek In-guk's father, Dark Moon Sword Sect's leader, Mek In-hu. He is leading almost 300 soldiers, marching toward Mount Gangdong with the intent to eliminate what remains of the Tang family. Meanwhile, standing near Gangdong Mountain with a total of 300 soldiers, the Cheonjin sect leader, Jung Yansong, asks Mek In-hu if he doesn't believe that using full force against the newcomers of the Tang family is a bit excessive. Mek In-hu responds, acknowledging that facing the Tang family with such a force might seem excessive. However, he explains that since Gangdong Mountain is the Gangdong sect's territory, it was a necessary measure as the Gangdong sect's influence is incomparable to the now collapsed Tang family, and if their forces were fewer, they would certainly be defeated. He explains that with this many troops, the Gangdong sect would also be closely monitoring the situation. Moreover, once they realize they are not the targets, the Gangdong sect would likely choose to remain neutral. Jung Yansong agrees with this assessment, but then asks about the spy Mek In-hu mentioned earlier. With a heavy heart, Mek In-hu reveals that the mission failed. The spy was someone he cherished, but he died in the attempt. Suddenly, he interrupts further discussion, stating that there's no time for more chatter, and they should set off immediately. Our Jegal clown stealthily eavesdrops on their conversation, realizing that Mek In-hu is incredibly powerful. He deduces that unless involved in the competition, he should not have been able to find this place. He wonders if there has been a spy. Regardless, he reflects that he needs to instantly report this to the Bongwi Brigade for action. Suddenly, an idea pops into his mind. He can use their hands to kill Yeon-myeong, as it will help keep their plans hidden from the family. Meanwhile, our Jiga Chad lifts Yeon-myeong by her neck into the air. Now recognizing Yeon-myeong, she curses herself for failing to identify him sooner. Realizing she's facing death, she acknowledges that her only chance of survival lies in using the fire dragon's poison. With a sense of urgency, she retrieves it. Looking at the blade on the ground, Yeon-myeong notices it is coated in some kind of substance. Finding him distracted, Yeon-myeong attempts to throw the fire dragon's poison at him, but our Chad intercepts it. He takes the poison can from her hand and demands that she tell him what it is. Judging by its color, he deduces that it is the same poison as the one on her blade. He asks Yeon-myeong if she won't tell him, suggesting they revisit the old days for a bit. He then prepares to administer the poison to her. Just as he is about to do so, she speaks up, warning him that it's one of the Tang family's 10 poisons, called Fire Dragon's Poison. Yeon-myeong considers the poison special, thinking it would be as easy to consume as wine. He reflects that if he had let her consume it, it would have been a waste, like throwing pearls to swine. Yeon-myeong pleads for mercy, but Yeon-myeong becomes serious and demands to know if she colluded with the Jegal family. He warns her that if she hesitates to answer, he will feed her the poison. In desperation, she reveals everything, including their plans and the marriage proposal. Hearing this, Yeon-myeong realizes that they are trying to strengthen their family through this marriage offer. As he contemplates his next move against the Jegal family, he shocks Yeon-myeong by drinking the poison. Her face reflects utter disbelief as Yeon-myeong consumes one of the Tang family's 10 poisons. She starts laughing uncontrollably, convinced he has made a fatal mistake. Soon, Yeon-myeong's face starts burning, while Yeon-myeong brags that she is the only one who can neutralize the poison. However, she is bewildered when she notices that even after consuming a deadliest poison, Yeon-myeong's grip strength hasn't decreased. Just then, Yeon-myeong returns to normal and comments on how spicy the poison is, likening it to a bottle of Manga sauce. Yeon-myeong is stunned, thinking it's absolutely impossible for someone to survive after consuming it, as it contains the blood of a legendary being, a single drop of which could kill thousands. Before she can finish her speech, Yeon-myeong buries her head into the ground, killing her instantly. Rest in peace, little lady, but you won't be remembered. Feeling the after-effects of consuming the poison, Yeon-myeong senses that he has learned the martial art of the sun. Just as he is about to leave, he notices the sun in the sky despite it being midnight. Suddenly, many changes occur, and Yeon-myeong finds himself in another place, which he suspects is likely the work of Jegal Clown. Using his senses, he detects the presence of over 300 people. He reflects that considering the numbers, something is fishy for their family. He ponders if the Jegal family could have overlooked such a large group, or if they intentionally invited them inside the formation, possibly planning a massacre. However, Yeon-myeong sees it as a stroke of luck to have practiced targets come to him. He decides to free his hand and dips his needles into the poison Ijeon made, preparing for the impending confrontation. Meanwhile, Jegal Clown informs Wonjin that there are intruders, revealing that there was a spy among them who disclosed their location. He proceeds to explain how there were over 300 troops led by the Dark Moon leader, Mak In-hoo. Wonjin is puzzled about why they are in Sichuan and how they managed to locate this place, which is concealed by the 7-lock Phantom Formation. Wonjin tells him that they should hurry up, but this skinny clown tells him that Mak In-hoo and his men have entered the inner world where the Gu Poison match is taking place, and as he knows they made it impossible for themselves to intervene, so they have no choice but to rely on the kids. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong has slaughtered hundreds of them with his poison needles. Soon, Mak In-hoo finds the body of his son and is devastated. Jung Yeon-song informs him that it appears their spy was killed with a poison needle without any struggle, dying one-sidedly. Enraged, Mak In-hoo, this hypocrite who spoke of honor while planning to destroy a clan's foundation, loses his mind. He orders his disciples to search thoroughly and find those Tang family rats, and as all the groups are dispatched, he swears not to leave anyone alive. The disciples whisper among themselves about their leader's strange behavior, acknowledging that the Tang family is not to be underestimated, especially after witnessing how they killed Ganja in a single strike. Unfortunately, as they converse, one of them is fatally poisoned by the same poison meal. They prepare for battle, but soon realize that hundreds of poison needles are raining down from the sky, poisoning them all to death. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong reflects that his single palm blazing poison technique is lethal enough for foot soldiers. Using his inner energy, he calls back all the needles. A scout informs Mak In-hoo that all dispatched groups were annihilated, poisoned without any struggle, and killed in the same manner. More scouts arrive with the same report, leaving Mak In-hoo nervous. Their numbers have significantly decreased as Jung Yeon-song reveals that they've lost more than 100 men in just an hour of search. He proposes his analysis, suggesting that the attacks could have been executed by a single individual. Mak In-hoo is so scared that he pees in his pants, convinced without a doubt that it's the work of a master from the Tang family. Some encourage Mak In-hoo delegates command to his friend as he plans to face the enemy himself. Jung Yeon-song contemplates that in an hour or two, the sun will set. If they can't find the intruder before then, they risk annihilation, as they are the only ones suffering. He announces to everyone that they will leave in an hour. Unfortunately, bad luck strikes as Yeon-myeong is sitting in a tree, waiting for them. Jung Yeon-song is incredulous that he didn't sense a presence until Yeon-myeong spoke. He warns everyone to dodge, but when he looks behind, he sees everyone dead. Yeon-myeong asks him if he's the leader. Even on high alert, Jung Yeon-song didn't sense him coming down from the tree. However, he dismisses Yeon-myeong as too young to be a master. Meanwhile, using his Kai, Yeon-myeong calls back all the needles. Jung Yeon-song tries to understand the technique Yeon-myeong used earlier, remarking that it likely consumed a significant amount of inner energy. Despite not recognizing Yeon-myeong, Jung Yeon-song acknowledges the threat he poses. However, Yeon-myeong remains undeterred, telling Jung Yeon-song that it doesn't matter what he thinks or does as he's going to die anyway. Jung Yeon-song uses a technique to transform resembling a cheap copy of Super Saiyan 4 and charges towards Yeon-myeong. However, to his surprise, Yeon-myeong stops the attack with a single palm. Mocking him, Yeon-myeong asks if that's all he's got. Jung Yeon-song loses his composure, flashing back to the time when the Black Death Alliance overthrew one of the 9 factions. Eager to align with their power, Jung Yeon-song willingly joined them. And as a reward, the leader of the Black Death Alliance refined his palm technique. What was once the peak-shaking palm was renamed the Heaven Quake Palm, symbolizing its enhanced potency. However, at this moment, Jung Yeon-song can't fathom that such a powerful technique was effortlessly countered by a young kid. The poison Yeon-myeong drank was the fire dragon's venom. When mastered, it becomes as deadly as Sword Ki. Sword Ki, imbued with the intent to cut down anything, is known as Sword Force. Similarly, Venom Ki, filled with the intent to burn anything, transforms into Venomous Force. Meanwhile, as the Heaven Quake Palm slowly shatters, Jung Yeon-song is instantly engulfed in flames and burns to his death. Witnessing this, Yeon-myeong decides to name this newfound power the Fiery Venom Force. Then, our Chad, Yeon-myeong, turns to the remaining survivors and asks who wants to die first, making it clear he has no intention of leaving anyone alive. Just then, Mak In-hoo enters the scene, acting strong and delivering a bold speech. He commands everyone to form up and surround Yeon-myeong, preparing for a final showdown. The old man, Mak In-hoo, promises to avenge the dead. Meanwhile, being surrounded by enemies reminds Yeon-myeong of the training he did with the Bongwoo Brigade. Reflecting that last time he performed the whirling chaos dance, he decides to try something different this time. Yeon-myeong vanishes and suddenly, heads start flying left and right. Mak In-hoo cannot figure out Yeon-myeong's movements. His enraged disciples charge towards Yeon-myeong, who destroys their swords midair and uses the broken sword particles infused with his ki to recreate the 10,000 heavenly flower rain. The technique, a beautiful yet deadly spectacle, rains down upon the enemies, tearing through them with lethal precision. The scene is filled with chaos as Mak In-hoo watches in horror, realizing the true power of Yeon-myeong. Yeon-myeong walks through the battlefield as enemies are shredded into pieces by the deadly technique. Although not as strong as the original, he names it the Iron Shard Volley. With everyone dead, Yeon-myeong asks Mak In-hoo that now, after using his men to exhaust his strength, it's Mak In-hoo's turn to step in. Mak In-hoo calls Yeon-myeong impudent fool, asking they will see how long his spirits lasts. Pulling out his swords, Mak In-hoo says to himself that there is no need to be frightened regardless of his achievements. He says to Yeon-myeong that with the Taiyu twin sword technique and the silent sword technique bestowed by their union leader, he will grind him to dust. Yeon-myeong taunts him in return, mentioning that he is repeating the same old dialogue. Mak In-hoo tells him to shut up and rushes forward to strike him, shouting that he will crush him. As Mak In-hoo unleashes his ultimate attacks, Yeon-myeong yawns and effortlessly blocks it and pushes him back. Enraged and startled, Mak In-hoo inquires Yeon-myeong how he has done it. He is shocked at the fact that with just a short sword, his Taiyu twin sword and the silent sword techniques were deflected. Mockingly, Yeon-myeong reveals that he has some expertise in swordsmanship. He tells Mak In-hoo that he quickly grasped the flow and tension of his swords. Then, Yeon-myeong demonstrates the silent sword technique, his blade now emitting a thick black aura. He challenges Mak In-hoo, questioning if this was the correct execution of the technique. Mak In-hoo, Recognizing the technique and still in disbelief, struggles to understand how Yeon-myeong can wield the silent sword technique so effortlessly. Yeon-myeong tells Mak In-hoo that the silent sword technique is rather simple, shocking Mak In-hoo. Yeon-myeong smirks and Mak In-hoo's disbelief grows. The sheer audacity with which Yeon-myeong brushes off a skill that took Mak In-hoo years to master sends shockwaves through his being, shaking the very foundation of his understanding of martial prowess. With a smirk playing on his lips, Yeon-myeong's demeanor exudes a confidence that borders on arrogance, further unsettling Mak In-hoo. The realization dawns upon him that what he once considered a pinnacle achievement in his martial journey is but a mere trifle to Yeon-myeong. As Yeon-myeong delves deeper into the intricacies of the Black Death Alliance's influence, unveiling the insidious nature of their leader's power, Mak In-hoo's awe transforms into a chilling realization. The depth of Yeon-myeong's knowledge and the extent of his strength leave Mak In-hoo grappling with a newfound sense of fear, recognizing the formidable adversary he now faces. Yet, amidst the swirling emotions of awe and fear, Yeon-myeong's disappointment cuts through the air like a sharp blade, casting a shadow over Mak In-hoo's already shaken resolve. The stark contrast between his own perceived mastery and Yeon-myeong's effortless prowess leaves Mak In-hoo reeling, his sense of self-assurance crumbling before the undeniable truth of Yeon-myeong's superiority. Yeon-myeong cruelly mocks him, suggesting that their leader, Ryeonju, must not have had much faith in Mak In-hoo to bestow such basic skills upon him. Since Mak In-hoo is so arrogant, Yeon-myeong decides to show him the true power of the technique. With a surge of ki, the dagger in Yeon-myeong's hand undergoes a remarkable transformation, elongating and twisting with fluid grace under his control. It's a sight to behold, leaving Mak In-hoo in a state of disbelief as he witnesses the manifestation of Yeon-myeong's mastery. Yeon-myeong's execution of the Blade River technique is nothing short of awe-inspiring, its sheer force tearing through the fabric of the inner world with unbridled power. For Mak In-hoo, the sight is both mesmerizing and terrifying as he grapples with the realization that a mere mortal could wield such extraordinary abilities. In the wake of Yeon-myeong's display, Mak In-hoo finds himself overwhelmed by a sense of inferiority. The ease with which Yeon-myeong manipulates vast amounts of energy signals a mastery that transcends the limits of mortal skill, hinting at the attainment of the elusive transcendent stage. As the gravity of Yeon-myeong's prowess sinks in, Mak In-hoo is left humbled, his once proud arrogance shattered in the face of unparalleled mastery. Frightened, and with no other tricks up his sleeves against such formidable opponent, Mak In-hoo finds no other option but to run for his life. Yeon-myeong, reading Mak In-hoo's thoughts, watches as he transforms into a rat and tries to escape. Yeon-myeong, amused, tells him that there's no point in running. As Mak In-hoo scurries away, Yeon-myeong contemplates using the Tang clan's technique. The rat, in a state of panic, wonders how it's possible for a young man from the fallen Tang clan to have reached the final stage, the transcendent stage. Yeon-myeong's ninja-like spinning blades relentlessly attack Mak In-hoo, who is running like a rat in the field. Despite his attempts to fend them off with his sword, more blades surround him. Although he manages to hold his ground initially, the attacks gradually take their toll. Injured and desperate, Mak In-hoo loses an arm but clings to the hope that Yeon-myeong has exhausted a significant amount of energy using this skill. Yeon-myeong enters the scene, channeling his kai into the spinning blades, causing them to wear menacingly on the ground. Mak In-hoo is shocked as the blades swiftly surround and chop him into pieces. Satisfied with the outcome and having enjoyed testing multiple techniques, Yeon-myeong notes that no one is left alive and decides to leave the place. Yeon-myeong, the Giga-chad, reflects that since there are loose ends, he has to tie once he gets out. He then gathers mana around his blade while declaring that the elders who drove her mother to a corner and the Jeagle family who plotted to take over the Tang clan, he will set everything right. He resolves an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Then, with a swift motion, Yeon-myeong rips open the formation, a move that never gets old for him. Meanwhile, Jeagle Clown continues to deceive everyone, claiming they made it impossible to intervene to ensure the competition remains fair. Despite his assurances, no one truly believes his words. In reality, this deceitful individual can enter the formation anytime he wants. However, he has sealed it off, ensuring that no one can survive the competition, and somehow he can get rid of participant number 28. Jeagle Clown reflects that, with the men deployed outside the unit subdued and questioned, the identities of those inside have been confirmed. They include the Great Darkness Silent Sword Sect, the Dark Moon Sword Sect, and 300 of their disciples. He believes it will be impossible for Yeon-myeong to handle such a formidable force. Just as this Jeagle Clown continues his nonsensical talk, he notices suddenly everyone around him is making happy reactions. Turning around, he sees Yeon-myeong staring right at him. Yeon-myeong's friends rush to hug him, relieved to see him unharmed. With a smile, Yeon-myeong assures them that he had told them that no one other than them could hurt him once he is inside the competition. He then locks eyes with the shocked Jeagle clown, who cannot fathom how Yeon-myeong is still alive and wonders if the 300 soldiers were completely useless. Feeling the intensity of Yeon-myeong's glare, Jeagle clown quickly hides his face behind a folding fan. Even Tang Yeon-myeong greets Yeon-myeong, who responds with a smirk. Meanwhile, amidst the chaos and tension, Jeagle clown finds himself grappling with disbelief, struggling to reconcile the seemingly impossible feat of Yeon-myeong breaching the legendary 7-layer formation of the Jeagle clan. Even a master of the highest caliber would balk at such a formidable barrier, yet Yeon-myeong had effortlessly sliced through it as if it were paper. Suspicion gnaws at Jeagle clown's mind as he contemplates the implications of Yeon-myeong's unparalleled skill, entertaining the unsettling notion that the clan head might transcend even the mastery of a seasoned martial artist. Sensing the need for strategic caution, Yeon-myeong refrains from immediately engaging Jeagle clown in combat, recognizing the importance of securing his position within the Tang clan first. With a steely resolve, he prioritizes the task at hand, resolving to confront the elders of the Tang clan before addressing any potential threats posed by Jeagle clown and his clan. However, before Yeon-myeong can elucidate the events of the competition, the surroundings are suddenly engulfed in violent tremors, the very foundation of the formation crumbling beneath their feet. As the barriers separating the inner world from the outside world disintegrate, a grim tableau is unveiled, revealing the grim aftermath of the fierce confrontation. A haunting landscape littered with the lifeless bodies of countless combatants, their forms strewn across the battlefield like discarded pawns in a merciless game of war. As the crowd beholds the awe-inspiring spectacle before them, a hushed reverence descends upon the assembled onlookers, their eyes wide with disbelief and admiration. Witnessing Yeon-myeong's astonishing feat of single-handedly decimating a formidable force of 300 soldiers, the crowd is struck with a profound sense of awe and wonder. Even seasoned warriors like Wonjin find themselves humbled by the sheer magnitude of Yeon-myeong's prowess, acknowledging that handling more than 30 opponents would pose a considerable challenge for even the most skilled fighters. Yet here stands Yeon-myeong, effortlessly dispatching adversaries with a casual ease that borders on the supernatural. The sight of Mak In-hoo, the expert fleeing rat, among the fallen only serves to intensify Wonjin's admiration for Yeon-myeong, solidifying his belief in the clan head's extraordinary abilities. Meanwhile, the crowd reacts with a mixture of amazement and excitement, their collective astonishment akin to fans enraptured by the performance of a virtuoso musician. In the midst of the spectacle, Yeon-myeong casually remarks to Wonjin that the adversaries were not as challenging to deal with as they might have seemed. However, Wonjin's keen perception leads him to a deeper understanding of Yeon-myeong's true power, recognizing that the clan head's abilities transcend those of a typical leader. As whispers of Yeon-myeong's incredible feat spread among the remaining contestants, speculation runs rampant, with many daring to suggest that he has ascended beyond the final stage of martial arts mastery, achieving a level of skill and prowess that defies conventional understanding. Yuri and the other group members swell with pride at Yeon-myeong's remarkable display of strength and skill. Moochin stands apart from the jubilant crowd, his expression twisted with bitterness and resentment. Seething with anger at what he perceives as the unfair turn of events, Moochin broods over the stark contrast between his own fate and Yeon-myeong's meteoric rise to power. In his eyes, while he was left crippled and powerless, Yeon-myeong has flourished and grown stronger, the bitter reminder of his own perceived inadequacies. Reflecting bitterly on their past encounters, Moochin recalls Yeon-myeong as nothing more than a piece of trash, incapable of matching his prowess in martial arts. He struggles to reconcile this image with the formidable opponent that Yeon-myeong has become, cursing his former rival's ascent to power and bewildered by how someone like him could attain such extraordinary abilities. Just as tensions reach a boiling point, Wonjin steps forward, his authoritative presence commanding the attention of the gathered contestants. With solemn gravity, he makes the official announcement that the competition has concluded, declaring Yeon-myeong as the rightful winner. In a show of fairness and transparency, Wonjin invites any contestants with objections to come forward and voice their concerns, signaling the official end of the competition and the beginning of a new era under Yeon-myeong's leadership. Moochin wrestles with his frustration over his broken hand. He begrudgingly resolves to bide his time and seek revenge against Yeon-myeong at a later date. With Yeon-myeong officially crowned as the winner of the competition, the contestants gather before him, marking the beginning of a new chapter for the Tang clan. Filled with hope and determination, Wonjin sees this moment as an opportunity to breathe new life into the Tang clan through Yeon-myeong's leadership. Alongside 82 warriors of the Bongwi Brigade, including Wonjin himself, they kneel before Yeon-myeong, pledging their unwavering loyalty and acknowledging him as their new leader. Meanwhile, Mirio and Yuri ponder the proper protocol for addressing Yeon-myeong, unsure whether formal titles are necessary in their interactions with the newly crowned clan head. In contrast, Wonjin reflects on the immense potential that Yeon-myeong embodies at such a young age, harboring hopes that under his guidance the Tang clan may once again rise to prominence across the land of Sichuan. As the Giga Chad assumes his newfound role as a powerful leader, he remains ever perceptive of the desires and aspirations of his comrades. With unwavering confidence, he reassures them that he understands their hopes and dreams, promising to swiftly turn them into reality. Encouraging them to trust in his leadership and exercise patience, the Giga Chad instills a sense of confidence and anticipation for the bright future that lies ahead under Yeon-myeong's reign. As Yeon-myeong's words sink in, the warriors find themselves utterly shocked, their minds reeling with disbelief at the possibility that he could have somehow discerned their innermost thoughts. In that moment, the weight of Yeon-myeong's declaration resonates deeply within them, solidifying his position as their true clan leader and inspiring unwavering loyalty and devotion among their ranks. Encouraged by Yeon-myeong's resolute leadership, the warriors stand tall, reassured, and ready to follow him into whatever challenges may lie ahead. With newfound determination, they pledge themselves to Yeon-myeong's cause, their hearts brimming with confidence and conviction. Yeon-myeong wastes no time in issuing his first orders, directing everyone to convene at the main house. However, amidst the fervent excitement and renewed sense of purpose among the clan members, Moonchen seethes with unbridled anger. Consumed by rage and resentment at Yeon-myeong's rapid ascension to power, he vows to exact revenge at any cost, even if it means forsaking his own soul in the process. As the commotion settles and the clan members disperse, the joint sect leader, Taehyo, accompanied by his stout assistant Hyunso, make their way to Gangdong Mountain. Taehyo wastes no time in addressing the grave situation, stating that he arrived promptly upon hearing the news. Hyunso, ever astute, remarks on the peculiar circumstances surrounding the massacre, noting the significant loss of life exceeding 300 individuals. Drawing on the wisdom of age-old adages, he muses that perhaps the prowess of an experienced elder surpasses that of a young upstart, likening the tragedy to the natural order of things. Despite the grim reality of the situation, he acknowledges that such a devastating outcome is not unexpected for a clan that once boasted great prestige and power. As they traverse the rugged terrain of Gangdong Mountain, Hyunso reflects on the dwindling numbers of the Tang family, noting that to his knowledge, there were fewer than 100 members remaining on the mountain. In the wake of such a catastrophic event, he can't help but ponder the uncertain future that lies ahead for the once venerable Tang clan. As Taehyo and Hyunso continue their conversation, Taehyo acknowledges the peculiarity of the situation, agreeing with Hyunso's assessment that it is indeed strange that news of such a significant event happening on Gangdong Mountain did not reach them sooner. He muses that perhaps the Tang family is deliberately avoiding contact with them, prompting Hyunso to question the motives behind such avoidance. Given the Tang family's previous gestures of sending valuables in honor of the tournament, Hyunso finds it puzzling that they would now be evasive. Taehyo considers another possibility, suggesting that the Tang family may be concealing something from them, though he admits that they cannot be certain of the true reasons behind their behavior. Meanwhile, Hyunso reflects on the decline of the Tang clan's blade technique, feeling a sense of shock when Taehyo reveals that the massacre was carried out using a short blade. According to Taehyo's analysis, the swift and efficient manner in which the victims were dispatched indicates that they were all killed by a single individual. Determined to uncover the truth behind the massacre and meet this formidable adversary in person, Taehyo resolves to journey to Sichuan. Despite Taehyo's reassurances of his own abilities, Hyunso remains apprehensive about the potential dangers they may encounter on their journey to Sichuan. While Taehyo exudes confidence, having honed his skills to the pinnacle of mastery, Hyunso admits his own limitations in comparison to his master's formidable prowess. In response to Hyunso's concerns, Taehyo dismisses the notion of engaging in conflict with the perpetrator hastily, expressing confidence in his ability to navigate any potential threats they may encounter. However, Hyunso remains cautious, suggesting that it may be prudent for them to visit the Tang family first, allowing Taehyo an opportunity to address their leader directly. Taehyo agrees, recognizing the wisdom in Hyunso's suggestion. Reflecting on the current state of affairs within the martial world, Hyunso contemplates the shifting alliances and power dynamics that govern their reality. With the Black Death Alliance entrenched in the south and the demonic cult holding territory in the west, the joint faction finds itself facing formidable challenges on all fronts. Recognizing the parallels between their own predicament and that of the Tang family, Hyunso realizes that Taehyo's decision to visit their leader may be part of a larger strategy to forge alliances and navigate the treacherous landscape of martial politics. Kanso ponders his master's intentions. He speculates whether Tagio plans to enlist the aid of the Tang family in confronting their adversaries, the Black Death Alliance and the demonic cult. However, he harbors doubts about the Tang family's capacity to fulfill such a pivotal role, considering their prolonged decline over recent years. Despite his reservations, he fervently hopes that their alliance won't necessitate resorting to the dreaded demon sword technique, a last resort that carries grave consequences. Meanwhile, at the main house, Elder Sam is engrossed in his scribbling when one of his aides interrupts him with news of the competition's conclusion and the return of all participants. Taken aback by the unexpectedly swift end of the competition, Elder Sam reflects on Yeon-myeong's proficiency with poison, harboring hopes of victory. However, his optimism quickly evaporates when the informant shatters his illusions, revealing that Yeon-myeong is conspicuously absent among the returning participants. Meanwhile, at the main gate, the guards engage in lively speculation about the outcome of the competition, their voices filled with anticipation and curiosity. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted as they notice the imposing figure of Art Chad leading a group of individuals towards them. Excitement ripples through the crowd as onlookers gather eager to learn the identity of the competition's victor. However, before the announcement can be made, the attention of the gathered spectators is momentarily diverted as the women present find themselves visibly captivated by the commanding presence of Arjiga Chad. Among the crowd, murmurs of surprise and relief spread as it becomes apparent that a significant number of participants have managed to survive the fierce competition. Observing his son Jongul's jubilant expression, Aide inquires whether Jongul may be in contention to become the new head of the family. However, Jongul's father responds with cautious uncertainty, advising his aide not to set their expectations too high just yet. As Yeon-myeong surveys the gathered throng and their varied emotions, he can't help but ponder his mother's potential concern for his well-being. However, his thoughts are soon consumed by a more pressing dilemma. What should he do if his mother fails to recognize him? Caught between familial duty and the weight of his newfound responsibilities, Yeon-myeong grapples with the uncertainties that lie ahead. Seizing the opportune moment, Yuri takes the initiative to introduce Yeon-myeong to her father, who visibly breathes a sigh of relief upon seeing his daughter safe and sound. Yeon-myeong, sensing the implication behind Yuri's introduction, inquires if she is suggesting that he should look after her father. Yuri doesn't mince words, affirming that her father possesses remarkable skills, though he remains overlooked for promotion due to his refusal to indulge in flattery or favoritism towards others. Recognizing the potential benefits of aligning himself with individuals who are at odds with the elders, Yeon-myeong sees this as an opportunity to bolster his support within the clan. However, he acknowledges his limited knowledge about Yuri's father, Aijin and Mario, prompting him to prioritize learning more about them in the future. In the midst of these introductions, Tang Kisum, the current head of the Tang clan, warmly greets everyone present. Sensing an opportunity to curry favor with the clan leader, Jekyll Clown wastes no time in employing his trademark smooth-talking charm. Tang Kisum, impressed by Jekyll Clown's flattery and acknowledging the contribution of the Jekyll clan's formation to the success of the competition, praises Jekyll Clown for his clan's invaluable assistance in hosting the event. Once his greetings are concluded, Tang Kisum instructs everyone to go and meet the elders. He tells the warriors may now disperse and rest as after many years of escorting and competing missions, the fatigue must have piled up. Wanjin offers his apologies, explaining that they will not be heading to the elder's house. Tang Kisum's initial shock quickly transforms into palpable frustration as he struggles to comprehend the audacity of Wanjin's defiance. The gathered crowd murmurs uneasily, sensing the tension mounting between the clan leader and Yeon-myeong's supporters. Tang Kisum's demand for an explanation hangs heavily in the air, his eyes fixed sternly on Wanjin as he awaits a response. In response to Tang Kisum's incredulous inquiry, Wanjin maintains his composure, offering a respectful yet firm explanation rooted in the family's established rules and traditions. As he calmly asserts their intention to adhere strictly to these regulations, a ripple of anticipation courses through the assembly, awaiting Tang Kisum's reaction. The atmosphere crackles with tension as Tang Kisum's anger simmers beneath the surface, his authority challenged by the unexpected defiance of Yeon-myeong's supporters. With each passing moment, the standoff intensifies, casting a shadow over the once cordial gathering. Wanjin, steeling himself for the consequences of their bold stance, braces for the storm of repercussions that is sure to follow. Yeon-myeong intervenes, questioning if there is anyone with more authority than the family head. Upon requesting the individual's identity in a dramatic reveal, Yeon-myeong discloses his own identity as the winner of the competition, casting a profound realization over the assembled crowd. Later, within the confines of his den, Tang Kisum relays the outcome of the competition to the elders, revealing Yeon-myeong as the victor. Elder Sam grapples with disbelief at the revelation, struggling to reconcile the unexpected defeat of his grandchild despite the purported advantage of the fire dragon poison. He questions whether Yeon-myeong failed to harness its power effectively, puzzled by the incongruity between expectation and reality. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder, Tang Yeon-myeong, seethes with frustration at the news of Tang Jukran's defeat at the hands of Yeon-myeong once again. Confounded by the widening gap between his initial assessment of Yeon-myeong's abilities and the present circumstances, he grapples with the unsettling notion that Yeon-myeong may be steadily growing in strength. Yet, unable to accept this reality, he clings to the conviction that Yeon-myeong must have resorted to deceit or trickery to secure his victory, refusing to acknowledge the possibility of his opponent's genuine prowess. A suggestion from Second Elder, Tang Yeon-myeong resonates within the circle of elders, prompting a collective agreement that they cannot overlook the gravity of the situation. Despite their previous decision to bury the past conflicts, the emergence of Yeon-myeong as the competition's victor demands a thorough investigation to uncover the truth. Fourth Elder, grappling with disbelief over Yeon-myeong's unprecedented success, voices his concurrence with Tang Yeon-myeong's sentiment. He struggles to reconcile the image of Yeon-myeong, the seemingly unremarkable figure, with the reality of his extraordinary triumph over all contenders. In response to the growing uncertainty, the Grand Elder interjects, suggesting that perhaps the answers they seek lie in direct confrontation with Yeon-myeong himself. Turning to Tang Yeon-myeong, he seeks confirmation of Yeon-myeong's whereabouts. Tang Yeon-myeong, unwavering in his response, confirms that they were indeed summoned to the Elder's house, signaling the beginning of a pivotal confrontation that will determine the fate of the Tang clan. As Tang Yeon-myeong recalls the tense exchange with Yeon-myeong, he vividly remembers the palpable surge of power emanating from the young successor. Despite his attempts to assert his authority, Yeon-myeong's unwavering confidence and display of inner energy left Tang Yeon-myeong momentarily stunned, his resolve faltering in the face of such formidable determination. In the aftermath of Yeon-myeong's assertive declaration, Tang Yeon-myeong finds himself struggling to maintain composure, the intensity of the encounter leaving him reeling. With a newfound sense of purpose, Yeon-myeong commands the assembly to follow him to the poison and stealth hall, effectively wresting control from the hands of the elders. Under Yeon-myeong's authoritative command, the once unquestioned dominance of the elders is challenged, marking a pivotal moment in the clan's history. As Tang Yeon-myeong braces himself to convey the news to the elders, he realizes that their reign is indeed coming to an end, ushering in a new era under the leadership of Yeon-myeong. Tang Yeon-myeong, visibly trembling with fear, nervously echoes the words that Yeon-myeong had spoken to him earlier. His voice quivers as he recounts the chilling warnings issued by the clan head, each syllable laden with a sense of impending doom. Driven to the brink of fury by the revelations unfolding before him, Elder Sam's rage erupts like a volcano, his emotions boiling over until he can no longer contain them. With a thunderous crash, he smashes a nearby table into splinters, his bellowing voice echoing through the chamber as he demands respect and deference from all present. In his fervent outburst, he likens their authority to that of the revered poison phoenix, emphasizing the need for caution and reverence in their presence. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder seizes upon the tumultuous atmosphere to assert his own authority and manipulate the situation to his advantage. With a calculated demeanor, he reminds the assembly that Yeon-myeong's status as heir has yet to be officially confirmed, insinuating that they possess the prerogative to question his suitability for leadership. Determined to address the growing concerns surrounding Yeon-myeong's conduct, they collectively agree to convene at the Poison and Stealth Hall, where they can deliberate further on the matter at hand. As tensions escalate within the Tang family, the elders heed the Grand Elder's command, mobilizing their private forces in response to Yeon-myeong's perceived challenge to their authority. Viewing his actions as a form of insolence and misconduct, they are determined to assert their dominance and remind him of who truly holds mastery over the clan. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong's uncle finds himself overwhelmed with disbelief at his nephew's unexpected victory in the competition. Reflecting on Yeon-myeong's humble beginnings and the obstacles he overcame as a child, he marvels at how his nephew has surpassed him in skill and prowess. Thoughts of his late sister flood his mind, and he can't help but feel a swell of pride at the thought of how she would have reacted to the news of Yeon-myeong's triumph. However, his reverie is abruptly shattered by the unexpected arrival of an old acquaintance, the father of Moonchun, a young man who harbors deep-seated resentment towards Yeon-myeong. 3 years prior, an incident occurred where Yeon-myeong allegedly caused harm to Moonchun's hand, leaving a lasting scar on both father and son. Seeing Moonchun's father and being reminded of the incident from 3 years ago, Yeon-myeong's usually composed demeanor shatters in an instant. Fueled by a surge of emotion, he confronts Moonchun's father with unbridled defiance, boldly asserting his presence and daring the man to demand compensation from him, referring to him as old trash without hesitation. Before Moonchun's father can respond, Yeon-myeong interrupts him, his voice dripping with menace as he issues a chilling warning. He cautions the man to tread carefully with his words, lest he find himself facing dire consequences, such as the loss of his son's other hand, a stark reminder of the power and ruthlessness that lies beneath Yeon-myeong's calm exterior. Witnessing Yeon-myeong's unwavering resolve and the chilling authority he wields, Wonjin is left in awe. The revelation that Yeon-myeong is the son of the revered Poison Phoenix only deepens Wonjin's admiration and respect for the clan head. Yeon-myeong, sensing Wonjin's curiosity, offers reassurance that he will divulge whatever information Wonjin seeks, but only when the time is deemed appropriate. As Wonjin contemplates Yeon-myeong's true identity as the son of the Poison Phoenix, memories of past conflicts resurface, each one serving as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Tang clan. He recalls the fierce battle against the Heaven's Brilliance Demon Lord, a formidable adversary who targeted the Poison Phoenix herself. In the face of overwhelming odds, the warriors of the Tang clan fought with unwavering determination, their resilience surpassing even the Demon Lord's expectations. Despite the Demon Lord's success in beheading the Tang clan leader, the clan's soldiers rallied with newfound courage, spurred on by their unwavering loyalty and determination. Even as they faced relentless onslaughts, they refused to yield, their steadfast resolve outmatching their adversaries despite the loss of their poison techniques. During this tumultuous time, Wonjin sought aid from the elders, hoping to bolster the defenses against the Demon Lord's forces. However, his pleas fell on deaf ears as the elders feared that any assistance rendered could potentially jeopardize the clan's survival. Despite their reluctance to offer aid, the Tang clan ultimately emerged victorious in the battle, their triumph a testament to their unyielding spirit and resilience. However, instead of acknowledging their own shortcomings and failures, the elders chose to shift the blame onto Yeon-myeong's mother, unfairly scapegoating her for the clan's hardships. Reflecting on this revelation, Wonjin realizes the immense challenges and hardships that Yeon-myeong's mother must have endured while raising her son under such adverse circumstances. Wonjin's impassioned plea resonates with the assembled members of the Tang clan, and he reminds them of the significance of Yeon-myeong's lineage and the importance of safeguarding this second chance. With a renewed sense of purpose, Wonjin implores his fellow clan members to pledge their unwavering loyalty and dedication to Yeon-myeong, vowing to protect and serve him with their very lives. However, their solemn moment of solidarity is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of Jiga Chad, who has been eagerly awaiting the elders and their forces. Wonjin feels a surge of apprehension upon realizing the magnitude of the gathering, never anticipating that the elders would amass such a formidable contingent. The tension in the air thickens as the elders, accompanied by their forces, demand an audience with Yeon-myeong following his defiance of the council's authority. Wonjin feels a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach, unsure of how the confrontation will unfold. As Yeon-myeong finally appears, Elder Sam wastes no time in leveling accusations against him, accusing him of presumptuously laying claim to the future leadership of the family without the council's consent. In response, Yeon-myeong remains unruffled, his demeanor composed as he calmly asserts his rightful position as the winner of the clan competition and the current overseer of proceedings at the Stealth and Poison Hall. He challenges the elders, questioning what more they could possibly demand from him. The elders express their disapproval of Yeon-myeong's tone. Finding it disrespectful, the arrogant elder issues a chilling warning, cautioning Yeon-myeong that his survival hinges upon providing a thorough explanation of the events surrounding the clan competition. In response, Yeon-myeong calmly informs the elders that discussing the details of the competition violates the family's rules, expressing surprise at how lightly these rules seem to weigh upon them. However, his comment is swiftly dismissed by one of the elders, who reveals information obtained from the Jeagle clan regarding an attack by nearly 300 individuals from the Dark Moon sect and the Sword sect during a competition. Unfazed by this revelation, Yeon-myeong counters, arguing that external interference should not undermine the fairness of the competition. He reveals the shocking truth that it was Tam Jukran and Young-ryong who were responsible for massacring all participants, and he was forced to eliminate them to restore order. As Yeon-myeong finishes his revelation, Elder Sam's facade of composure crumbles, his demand for clarification ringing out with palpable urgency. Yet Yeon-myeong remains composed, calmly suggesting that Elder Sam verify the truth for himself by visiting the site of the confrontation. Enraged beyond reason, Elder Sam lunges towards Yeon-myeong, his fury propelling him forward with reckless abandon. However, before he can close the distance, our Chad intercepts his attack with astonishing ease, halting Elder Sam's advance with a single outstretched hand. The suddenness of our Chad's intervention stuns Elder Sam, leaving him momentarily frozen in disbelief. With a cold smirk, our Chad taunts the elder, his words dripping with contempt and mockery. He challenges Elder Sam's incredulity, daring him to accept the harsh reality that his own granddaughter is dead. Unable to comprehend how Yeon-myeong effortlessly thwarted his demon-killing poison attack, Elder Sam is consumed by disbelief. His potent venom is renowned for its devastating effects, depriving its victims of both sight and hearing upon contact. As doubt gnaws at him, he questions whether Yeon-myeong has surpassed the decades of internal strength he himself has painstakingly cultivated. Before he can launch another assault, Yeon-myeong unveils a vial containing the legendary Fire Dragon's poison. Elder Sam demands to know its source, his voice tinged with suspicion and apprehension. In a bold move, Yeon-myeong allows the vial to slip from his grasp, the potent substance igniting upon contact with the ground. Addressing the stunned assembly, Yeon-myeong declares the poison to be one of the Tang clan's most lethal concoctions. Skepticism ripples through the ranks, particularly among the elders, with Wonjin voicing his doubts. Undeterred, Yeon-myeong confirms the poison's identity and assigns blame to the third elder for its mishandling. In a scathing rebuke, Yeon-myeong condemns the Tang family's lack of integrity, highlighting the grave consequences of allowing one of their most potent poisons to be exploited for personal gain. Wonjin stresses the immense value of the top 10 poisons, emphasizing that their recipes, now lost to time, render them priceless within the clan. These deadly concoctions hold a significance far surpassing any material wealth, symbolizing the pinnacle of the Tang family's power and heritage. He issues a stern warning, declaring that any misuse of these poisons for personal gain will be met with swift and severe punishment in accordance with the family's strict rules. In response, Yeon-myeong's smirk widens as he directs his gaze towards Elder Sam, the embodiment of defiance in the face of clan law. Despite holding the esteemed title of Elder, Yeon-myeong reminds him that no one is exempt from the consequences of their actions within the Tang family's jurisdiction. Observing Elder Sam's haunted expression, reminiscent of a character from The Walking Dead, Yeon-myeong discerns the depth of his remorse and suffering. In a display of mercy tinged with finality, he resolves to grant Elder Sam an honorable death. With a flick of his wrist, Yeon-myeong unleashes a torrent of flames, reducing Elder Sam to nothing but ashes before the eyes of the assembled clan members. Amidst the hushed whispers and shocked gasps, Yeon-myeong asserts his authority with unwavering confidence. He proclaims that none among them possess the right to pass judgment on the rightful seat of the family head. Henceforth, he alone will dictate what is just and what is unjust within the realm of the Tang family. As the Grand Elder shifts blame onto his subordinates for their failure to apprehend a lone individual, Yeon-myeong's accusation cuts through the tension like a blade. He confronts the Grand Elder directly, condemning him for his negligence in allowing his disciples' treachery to jeopardize the safety of the family. With unwavering resolve, Yeon-myeong boldly asserts that the Grand Elder's disciple was no ordinary traitor, but a covert agent of the nefarious Dark Moon sect. In response, the wicked elder attempts to deflect responsibility and demands concrete evidence from Yeon-myeong to support his claim. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment part 2 down below for the next part. Also consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.